Good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is the conference meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chambers of City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, December 18th, 2018, at 7 p.m. Roll call. Councilwoman Eason? Here. Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson? Here. Councilwoman Williams is late. Councilwoman Williams is delayed. She probably will not be here. Council President Coley. Councilwoman Wooten, sorry, will probably not be here. Council President Coley.
Present.
Also present, Joyce Lanier, the City Clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, the Business Administrator, Gracia R. Montillis, the City Attorney, Kenneth Douglas, the Fire Director, Adrian Mapp, the Finance Director, Frank McInerney, the Auditor, Marlon G. Towns, Legislative Research Officer, Margarita Homer, Senior Clerk in the Clerk's Office, and Lisette Sanchez, Records Support Technician. Please stand for a moment of silence.
At our last meeting, I failed to recognize our former President Bush. Thank you.
Please be apprised, anyone wishing to discuss agenda or general items shall sign one book. Each person signing the book will be allowed to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et seq., the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger, published in the Record Transcript on July 12, 2018, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the office of the City Clerk. For matters of discussion, we're not doing the corrective action plan, but we're actually going to do the audit. But before we do the audit, Councilman Jackson?
Yes. Thank you. I would like to introduce to everyone. We know that the Orange Public Library has been very important to us all, and we have, over the years, of those who grew up in Orange have spent many hours in the Orange Public Library, and we've had some issues with leadership at the top, but it looks as though the search is complete, and we have a new Director of the Orange Public Library, Ms. Sarah Wiggins. Would you like to come up and introduce yourself, please? Yeah, sure. This is my first time meeting her as well.
All right.
My name is Sarah Wiggins. Today is day 7 at the Orange Public Library as Executive Director. I don't live in Orange yet. I've been traveling back and forth, but I am looking for a place. I've been working in libraries since high school, and actually became a professional librarian when I graduated in 1992 from the University of Pittsburgh, and I've been working as either an administrator or department head or some management level since then. So I have about 20 to 25 years of library experience. And I look forward to getting to know you all and getting to know Orange.
Well, thank you. Councilman Jackson?
Well, certainly you have many supporters here. We definitely have high expectations for the library. We understand not only its historic value, but also the current value to the men, women, and children of Orange. And, you know, we'd like to make sure that you feel welcome and that the City Council makes it clear that we're happy to have you here. And as I said, you have supporters in the room, all right?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to say something?
Any other council members? Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Hi, I'm Councilwoman Summers Johnson, and I'd just like to welcome you to the City of Orange. I'm excited to have some new blood in there. I have 2 little sons. Not that they like to read a lot, but they would definitely come to some programs and you can sneak some reading in there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President,
Councilman Johnson?
the last name was Wiggins?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to give you my card. I'm actually the library liaison on this legislative season.
Okay.
No, still. Want to shake your hand Yeah, I'm replacing this gentleman right here. So keep me informed of the meeting schedule. And if you need any assistance that you need from the council, you can always just call me up and I'll get the clue.
Thank
All
you.
right? Nice meeting.
You
All
too.
right. And send me when you get a chance, send me your contact information.
Okay, I will.
All right?
Councilwoman Easton?
Well, we've met and I welcome her already, and we've talked about North Carolina. Might be a relative. So I welcome you to Orange, look forward to working with you. I will be back and forth in the library. I haven't been there that much lately, but now that you're there, you'll probably see me sometime in the evening. So welcome to Orange, and we look forward to working with you and collaborating with you on some of the things that we think you need our help in getting done. So don't be shy. Call us.
Okay,
All right? All
I
right.
will. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Council President.
Yeah, just real quick. Ms. Wiggins, thank you for joining us at the library. And if you lean on our BA, Mr. Hartwick, he will be a good resource for you to help navigate you through all the challenges that you're going to have here in Orange.
Okay.
Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, now that we got all the pleasantries out the way and it's the fourth quarter heading into the holiday, January 1 starts our new fiscal year, calendar year. So the budget process will be coming up on you fast and furious. Okay? Just a heads up.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, speaking of the budget process, lean on the BA, and he will lead, guide, and direct you through that process.
I've already reached out to him to set up a meeting, so.
Sounds good to me.
Looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you
Nice
very
meeting
much for coming.
Okay, Mr. Hardwick,
Yes,
do you want to bring up?
sure. At this time, does that work?
Mine is.
Okay, I'll use my teacher voice. At this time, Frank McInerney, the auditor, will present a summary of the audit and take questions from the council. And I've advised Mr. McInerney to limit his presentation to 5 minutes. So if there's anything specific you want him to touch on that he doesn't, just ask him at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Business Administrator, Mr. President, and members of the council. I'm pleased to be here once again to present to you the 2017 audit report for the City of Orange. But first, let me just briefly go through the results of operation and financial position of the city according to the statutory accounting system that's used in the state of New Jersey. At the end of 2017, the city had $13,300,000 in cash in all of their accounts. In addition to that, the city ended up with a $5.2 million fund balance. And this $5.2 million fund balance obviously was available. I don't recall exactly what was used in the 2018, but it was $4.5 million of the 5.2. So we're anxious to see where we stand at the end of 2018 to see if that $4.5 million was replenished. The results of operation for the city of Orange in 2017 were a excess of revenues over expenditures, which we would refer to as profit, if you will, of $628,000. You did have an emergency appropriation during the course of the year of $1,820,000, which is added back to profit. So your statutory excess in 2017 was $2.4 million, 2.458. Fortunately, that $1,820,000 of emergency had to be raised in the 2018 budget. Pretty much, when you look at the revenues that took place during the course of 17, they were fairly consistent with regard to what was collected in 2016, especially with regard to receipts on current taxes, which were $58,400,000 in 16 and $58,900,000 in 2017. The budget, however, increased. The expenditures on the budget increased from $61.6 million in 2016 to $64 million in 2017. With regard to the water account, the water account has a fund balance this year of $1,045,000, which is up from $331,000 in the previous year. Also, the water account this year generated a profit of $214,000, which is not an excessive amount of money, but certainly beats the negative $2.5 million deficit that was in water in the previous year. Water is something that obviously the city is concerned about. The receipts from water rents increased from $8.2 million up to $9 million in 2017. So it was a nice increase in the water receipts, and there was obviously, we had an emergency appropriation last year in water of at 16 of $2 million, $2,150,000. So the appropriation this year was that much less. That said, water and current fund are really the two operating accounts, there are two operating funds that would generate either an excess or a negative amount. Both of those, as I said, both had a positive amount for the year 2017, which is good. I will say that as a side, the city really needs to stay on top of the water receipts. That is something that has been something the city has attempted to correct, the issues that have taken place there. But the water utility is something that constantly needs to have the attention of the city. With regard to some of our comments in the audit report, you can read those, I'm sure you have. We had a number of them. I will say this, though, but we had 10 comments in 2016 on the tax collector office in and of itself. Just 10 comments, material comments on the tax collector audit, tax collector department in 2016. We don't have any in 2017. The city brought in a consultant to rectify the situations in the tax collection department. Reconciliations were done within a couple $1,000s. There was really meticulous analysis done, and as a result of that, we found that the tax collection department was complying with the statutory requirements of that department. In addition, they were also able to transmit and transfer to the finance department a comprehensive analysis of cash receipts that they collect, so that it tied in, so the finance department was able to tie those numbers into their general ledger. We did have some concerns in our findings in the payroll department. It's my understanding that those have been corrected and are part of the corrective action plan. Predominantly, we had some issues with the health benefits withholdings on employees. These are nominal differences. They could be differences of $2 or $3 a pay period, but we tested 25 of those, and 12 of those, if not roughly half, were not in compliance. Again, it's not material amount, but the city is working on making sure that that doesn't happen again. In addition, we did notice that towards the end of the year, there were some corrective actions taken in the purchasing department. We've had issues in the purchasing department in the past. We had them in the beginning of our audit analysis and examination in 2017, but the administration has worked towards and provided us with, after a meeting, some corrective action that's taken place in that department as well. But we're hoping in the 2018, if we're lucky enough to be your auditors, that we will find that the issues that have plagued the city with regard to procurement will be eliminated. There are other issues where we had significant deficiencies. There is a fixed asset schedule that has taken place after the fact, so we have a comment in here, but that's been rectified. We have some other issues that we dealt with regard to some more simplistic things, like making sure that deposits are made to the bank within 48 hours, which is a statutory requirement. We also had issues with the pilot revenues, which we found that some of the pilot revenues were not consistent with when you do the calculation, not consistent with the audits that we received. So there's some work that has to be done in that area, and I'll leave it up to the administration to possibly, address that. There were some loan agreements done on some developments that have taken place. The city received grant funds, and then used those grant funds to lend to some developers to help in the development cost of those developments. Those were not booked, so we made adjusting entries for those, and they're now found on the financial statements of the city. Pretty much everything else was the status of the grants, just making sure that the receivables in the grant fund are in fact collectible. We found in the past that, there are periods of time that go by where reports are not submitted to the grantor on a timely basis. We're spending money that's coming out of the current fund, which is really where the tax money comes into. And we're finding in some regards that the reports to get reimbursements on the grant funds are not made on a timely basis. In 2014, there was almost $1 million worth of grant funds, grant receivables, I should say, that were deemed uncollectible and had to be charged against the current fund balance. So we're not seeing that level of uncollected receivables there, but we caution the city to make sure that it stays on top of those amounts. We run into this issue about accumulated sick and vacation pay, as to how that's calculated. We're getting information when somebody retires from the department itself. There's not a balancing or a confirmation process that is able to be done out of finance, because those records were never existed in finance. So we're at the mercy, so to speak, of the departments who submit accumulated sick and vacation time records on behalf of employees who are retiring, and we have little way of making sure that what they're submitting to the city is in fact what that employee is entitled to. By no means are we saying that the departments are not submitting the correct amounts. What we're saying is that there's an internal control issue with the fact that there's no cooperation of those amounts from the department in the finance department. And we think that that's a material weakness and needs to be addressed. We did have some issues also with regard to police overtime. We were actually engaged to look a little closer at this particular item. It was a complete analysis that was done and presented to the administration, and the administration is doing a corrective action plan with regard to that comment. But it was the administration that really came to us, understanding that there was an issue with that overtime, and asked us to take a much closer look at it. So that pretty much summarizes everything as I can in 5 minutes. The health of the city is, like I said, you have a $5.2 million fund balance. I believe all of it is a cash fund balance. We do have almost $2 million of deferred charges, but we have $2 million worth of emergency notes against them. So the $5 million is cash. So that's a fairly decent amount, although it wouldn't be inappropriate if not to increase that if you could. There's a lot of strain on the county budget, as we all know, but $5 million is still a decent amount of fund balance, and I would prescribe that anything to do to increase that would be positive for the city. If there's any questions from members of the council, I'll be glad to take them.
Council members, any questions, comments?
Ladies before gentlemen? If not, I'll go.
Councilman Johnson?
Mr. McInerney, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And constantly keeping us updated Your firm is solid with working hand in hand with our administration. And fortunately, since 2014, I've actually been able to sit here and watch the transformation. Although we're not where we want to be yet, I believe we're on the way. Is it any way down the road the council or the council finance committee can, like, six months into the year, get a briefing from the administration to kind of find out, instead of us waiting till the whole year is passed to get this audit stuff? Because we're talking about 2017 numbers. And I'm just kind of curious of where we're at really now for 2018, if we really made a leap of improvement or we digress. So I wouldn't want to wait to December 2019 to find out in 2018 that we slipped up in some of these areas. Any recommendations?
I think, I don't know why this isn't working, but it's not. I'm gonna borrow yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's working.
One of the problems with having a late budget, right, is it backs everything up, right? Mr. McInerney can't do the audit until the AFS is filed. We were months
Right.
behind in getting the AFS done. A lot of those issues are corrected, or will be corrected going forward. So we're gonna get a lot closer to the schedule that the state statutes and the overseers mandate in 19. And what you're experiencing now is a direct result, and what you're talking about is a direct result of a lag in the budget process.
Okay.
So, you know, we're listening to an audit, and some of the comments for 2017, correct me if I'm wrong, some of those comments are repetitive from 2016.
Correct.
And 15 and 14.
So when we did the corrective action plan for the 16 audit, which also was late for the same reasons, we were doing that in the 2018 calendar year, right? So we've addressed a number of the comments, and what I think you're going to see, what I hope you're going to see in 2018 and then in 19 is a continued reduction in the number of comments. Are there still issues? Sure, because we have to educate a lot of people in the building about how to do things, okay? But you're going to see, just like you see with the tax collector's office, you're going to see a number of these comments drop out as we get our arms around all this stuff and move forward. So you're absolutely correct, we're headed in the right direction. We shouldn't be sitting, you know, at 2 weeks from Christmas, or 10 days from Christmas, or 7 days from Christmas, talking about the 2017 audit, and when we get the schedule in place, you won't be. So we'll be better at the end of this year. We'll have a budget to you on a statutorily timely basis. We'll have an AFS to Mr. McInerney so he can start his audit sooner. And we won't be sitting here in December, we'll be sitting here in June.
So one last question for either one of you guys and the council president. So what I'm hearing, since we're dealing with 2017 and it's this whole water collection thing and improving and so forth, so we're on a dual track that not only are we starting to get the receipts right for the water, but we're also doing the infrastructure stuff right too.
Yeah, I mean, so what you're seeing in the increase in the receipts for 17 is a result of the rate increase we came to the council to approve, but that we only got 6 months of the benefit for. That, and we've also increased our collection rate on water bills and sewer bills. So that's gonna continue to go up. Now we're wrapping our hands around, our arms around how we plan for the capital improvements in the water and sewer system that are necessitated by the fact that we've deferred maintenance for decades. And you're gonna see a plan in January that we bring before you with an engineering report with a request to apply to the State Infrastructure Bank for some interest-free funds. It's a split program. You pay interest on a portion just like we're doing for the roads. We're going to make a similar application for the water.
Okay, thank you, Council President.
Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Council President. Good to see you back there, Business Administrator, answering the questions with such comprehensive answers. I also wanted to ask, and this is something that maybe both of you might address, is as you talk about the timeliness, and how might a timely audit direct our budgeting process? I mean, how do these relate?
No matter how timely the audit is, your budget should be in before the audit is.
Right.
So, you know, it's not. There are portions of what's necessary for the budget that are also necessary for the audit, an AFS, and a few other things. So they go hand in hand in that regard, but you're never going to be in a position where you have an audit for a prior year. You should never be in the position where you have an audit for the prior year before you have a budget for the current year.
And either way, for the audit for 2017 will be instructive for the budget for 2019. So it would be 1 year apart.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Council members?
If I may, Mr. President, one other issue I think it's important to note. There was a delay in some of issuing the audit, and in all frankness, we were waiting on a legal letter from the legal department, and that took an extensive period of time for us to acquire. We cannot issue the audit report until we get a letter from your legal department, as well as other attorneys who do business with the city, confirming that there were no outstanding litigations. And I would be remiss to not, because it was a matter of months that held up the audit, that we did not get that legal letter. And so, you know, blame lies where it is. That was a major issue. With regard to having the audit done, the AFS is prepared pretty much on a fairly timely basis, much quicker than the audit report is. And the AFS is really the necessary document to move forward with the introduced budget. So we'll make sure that gets done, if all the books and records done. If I might, Mr. Harwick, too, and Mr. President, through you, the administration did hire another firm to come in and fill the gap on some of the issues that we had in getting the books closed out at the end of the year. So we're hoping that firm, who's a very competent firm, is able to come in and at the end of this year get those books closed out a lot faster than they were in prior years. And that would expedite not only the AFS but the audit as well.
Okay, I just want to kick it back to you. You said that letter from the law department. Attorney Grosh, you don't see any issues coming up getting him the information for the 2018?
I don't, Council President.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Council President,
Councilwoman Williams.
thank you. To you, Mr. McInerney, good evening, Mr. McInerney, or
Good
to
to see you,
Mr.
Councilman Williams.
Hartwick. You just mentioned the contract we did with the firm. And speaking of that firm, it was my understanding that they were to be, it's a firm, and a person from that firm was to be consistently in-house. It doesn't appear that is happening, but how is, because you were in hopes of that, because of that firm here, it will help move things along. How is that contract moving along?
Their contract's moving along very well in terms of progress. And I don't know where you heard that they're not consistently in the building, because one of them is. And they're prepared, they were prepared in the beginning of November to come and give a progress report to the council. I think the only reason that didn't get done was because of my absence.
And that would be the next thing I'll ask, Council President. At the first meeting,
No, tell me.
or to come up to
Can
that
you come
spot.
up here and sit?
Yeah.
As long as you switch nameplates, because I don't want anyone to think I'm the mayor.
That might be,
Elected people can be yelled at, appointed people can't.
That's right, you just got a job.
but then they might say that the mayor was here tonight, so. Stewart, so, Mr., okay.
That's okay.
Are you gonna sit there for the whole, okay, I got you. Go ahead, take your time. Ready? Yep. Okay, so I haven't heard, I've come on several occasions and they have not been here. So I don't know, what I understood was that they were to be here, like a workday, 5 days a week. So I know I've come on several occasions, they have not been here. But, so that, to that point, how is that, and moving along, and Council President, the first meeting in January, can we have them on for matters of discussion to report? Because they were supposed to report to us.
Sure.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
Well, they were supposed to give a report, not report to the council.
Give a report at the council
Yeah.
meeting. Okay, and that will be reporting to us at a council meeting. So if that can happen at the first meeting in January so that we can have opportunity to talk to them directly.
Council members, any other questions, comments for Mr. McInerney?
Council President, I don't have a comment. I just want to say thank you to Mr. McInerney for all his hard work and due diligence in getting us to where we are today.
Thank you,
The
Councilman.
reports you generated each year to help us figure out where our weak areas are, so we could do a corrective action plan to make sure it doesn't happen the next year. I know it was a lot of hard work. We spoke on several occasions. You were frustrated, but you got there, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the administration, too, and the department heads of the city that cooperate with the audit.
Okay.
Council President, one more. I don't know
Yes.
if it was mentioned that we're going to have a, what do we want to call it in January? A work session in January, and it would consist of the corrective action plan, the audit, and the best practices. And just, we don't have a date yet, but it will be on a Saturday, and the council directors and the mayor, that you can make yourself available so that we
I'd
can
be
delve
glad
into
to.
all of this. Okay.
Absolutely,
Thank
Councilman.
you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the record, Councilwoman Williams arrived at 7:19, and Joy Lascari, Chief Financial Officer, 7:06. For the public, there's one walk-on resolution out at the desk that will be considered tonight. Please grab a copy. Council, are there any resolutions or ordinances on tonight's agenda you wish to discuss?
If I may,
Yes, sir.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask a question, starting with ordinance 58-2018. I see that it, on the face, is showing an appropriation for $10 million, while the amount on the supplemental debt statement inside, as attached, is $9,850,000. What is the reason for the change?
Mr. BA?
The increase in the ordinance was to cover soft costs.
A bus?
Soft costs.
Soft costs, okay.
Yeah, basically the cost of issuance of the bonds, so bond attorneys' opinions, engineering reports and studies. I think we underestimated it in the 9,850, so we put a little more in for the cushion.
All right, and there's no need to change this supplemental debt statement?
I think it's been changed.
Okay.
That's the original supplemental debt statement that you
Yes.
have
Yes.
from the original ordinance.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move to ordinance 63-2018.
Okay.
If I may, it's a capital ordinance appropriating $400,000 from the capital surplus fund. And I just wanted to know an update, what is the balance of the fund following this appropriation?
Well, before the appropriation, it's about $750,000
All right,
in the capital improvement fund, which is restricted to capital use.
yes,
So what we're doing in this ordinance is we're basically identifying items that were paid for throughout the year
Yes.
from operating funds
Yes.
and moving them over to pay for them with capital funds so that the operating funds can lap to surplus.
Okay, thank you.
That's a question.
Go ahead, yes.
Do you, Mr. Hartwick, are there any police cars in the woods?
Well, not in this capital ordinance, but yes, there are. We were working throughout the year on a fleet management program that's not just police, but it's also public works vehicles, inspector vehicles, et cetera. And I hope to be in a position at the end of January or the beginning of February to bring those contracts before the council.
All right.
Council members?
I had to continue, I just
Okay.
wanted to,
Councilman Jackson, yep.
yes. I want to go to next, the 344, Resolution 344. And at the time, well, I don't know whether this is a question that needs to be asked in closed session, but,
I don't have a 344 on my agenda.
okay.
It's
Should
at the
be.
top. No,
It was the one that was postponed.
it's,
Oh, there it is. Sorry.
it's tabled though, right?
Got it.
Postponed.
It
Postponed.
was postponed.
Okay,
That's a personnel litigation issue,
okay.
so if you want to talk about that, you have to go into closed session.
Okay.
Depending upon what the nature of your inquiry is.
Well, as it is, it's something that maybe we can discuss at another point. I'll
Counsel-
withhold my.
And is, I'm just Council President, point of order, is there a memo on everybody's desk regarding that? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I'll move to Resolution 350-2018. Excuse me for being a little slow. I neglected to put my glasses and I'm on squint vision, but I'm doing pretty good. 350-2018, a resolution authorizing the services of a particular attorney. Do I need to ask about this in closed session as well?
No.
Okay.
You want to know why I need my own attorney?
Yes, I do.
Because I was sued individually.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. That's basically it.
They like,
Well, or they think you have something to get.
That's it, Councilman?
No, not yet. I
Okay.
have some more. If I
Yes,
can
sir.
get to you, I'll be expeditious. All right, I got you. Go to 351 if I can. And this is a resolution,
351 is being withdrawn.
okay, that's good.
I don't need it because the closing is going to take place after the estoppel period expires.
Okay, so I was just wondering why, so now we know that that can happen.
Okay.
All right. 354, that's 2018.
It's also going to be withdrawn.
Okay,
Postponed, withdrawn.
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 I'm lining them up, that's all right. Okay, then how about 359?
That's staying.
Okay. 359-2018 is a resolution authorizing us to accept the planning board's resolution for review regarding certain blocks and lots of properties. And I see a note on it that says block 1704, lot 7 does not exist, and block 2605, lot 8 does not exist. In looking at the maps, block 17, does that mean they do not exist in orange, or that they do not exist at all? At least with block 1704, lot 17.
Council President, Mr. Hartwick, that's the ones that you were going to
I've been
review?
unable to confirm whether or not these actually exist. I think there's two different sets of tax maps.
Yes.
My suggestion is that if they turn out not to exist, there's no harm in passing the resolution as it is, because those lots don't exist. So unfortunately, depending upon which set of tax maps you look at, it appears as though the lots may exist.
Yes.
So one of the things we're doing is updating the tax lot maps.
Oh, right, that's true.
I would suggest that we keep them in And I'll follow up with a memo to the council and the clerk at a later date if I can determine whether or not the lots have been merged or whether they still exist.
And you kind of anticipated my next question was to what effect are these, to what effect?
Yeah, if the
or not?
lots don't exist and they've been merged, there's no harm in including them in the resolution.
Yes. All right. And moving on to, I think that may be it. Okay. Look like 362, that's 2018. This particular resolution is authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract to Pinoni. And I see that part of the contract requires what appears to be maybe a project management. And I see when it says construction support. Are they serving as contract managers? Because I see some things that they're planning to do, such as review shop drawing submittals, conduct construction observation, process payment vouchers, and provide a final inspection. I'm just wondering if project management is really part of their job, rather than what is called construction support services.
Just 1 second, Council.
Yes, I understand.
If you don't mind.
I'll repeat. I see.
What it does is it requires you to approve.
Sorry.
No,
We're talking about a week. Is there an election between now and then?
all right. I shall reiterate my question, if I may. It's regarding Resolution 362-2018. It is authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract to Benoni Associates for infrastructure, bank, roadway improvements, and various streets, to various streets. And part of the contract includes that they play a role as for construction support services. And I'm wondering, is that like project management? Because they say they will review shop drawing submittals, conduct construction observations, process payment vouchers, provide a final inspection, and also process payment applications and closeout documents to secure funding in conformance with the grant requirements. Is that something that's pretty routine, or?
Well, actually, it's something, this is all related to the infrastructure bank application.
Okay.
And the requirements of the infrastructure bank program, they require a contract like this with an engineering firm.
Okay. All right. One thing I asked is also, in the second whereas clause on the cover, on the front, it mentions Rioch Street, and it's my understanding that that street was going to be repaired by one of the developments that's going on, that's going to be constructed on Rioch Street.
Well, the developments that have been before the council that were approved, none of them were able to get low and moderate income tax credits from in the last round, so none of those developments are moving forward at this point.
Oh.
Working on some additional potential projects for that street. The reason it's included is because it was in the top list of streets.
Understandable.
We may or may not move forward with Rioch, but it's included precisely for that reason.
Okay.
We'll make that determination as we get there.
All right.
If between now and when we have to do the work, we have a better handle on the timetable for projects that we're working on and negotiating,
Yes.
then we may take it out and
Okay.
potentially substitute another road if they let us.
All right. Thank you for
Can I
that.
ask a question on that?
Yes, sir.
Council President, through you to Business.
Yes,
It's one
Councilwoman.
block, and it's been that way for years. Why wouldn't we just do Rioch Street, being that all of the projects have fallen through? We couldn't just pave that one block?
Well, that's why it's in the program.
So you're
But
not
the
gonna-
reality is that if between now and June, we enter into an agreement, or we bring a project before the council that gets approved, I'd rather have the developer pave the street when they finish construction, because I can tell you, if the projects that we're looking at actually get approved, they will tear up Rioch Street no matter what.
But the concern is that we just had the Gentleman's Club totally revamped over there. So do you really think it would be part of a development and have them tear out all that new stuff they put in there?
You really want me to answer that question?
Not really. But that was just my concern, because I think the building on the corner has moved, the car repair shop, and somebody painted that building.
Somebody bought the property,
Yeah, so,
but the people who bought the property are one of the entities that we're talking to.
and they're gonna redo that and why can't we tear down the building across the street on Freeway Drive and North Day that has the door rotted, the windows are all gone?
You mean
That
the
little
single family?
No, that private club.
Next to the empty lot.
Yeah, it's right near Freeway Drive, that private club on the corner. It's an eyesore.
I don't know which one you're talking
It's
about.
right across from George Carnegie's Memorial. That building right there.
So the single family, the last single family,
It's not a home, it was a private club. It was brick on the outside.
Rod Raj you're talking about.
So Rah-Rah's is the gentleman's club.
Ra-Ra's is the gentleman's club. I'll look at it,
Okay.
but
It is
it's a
on-
property
It is on the
that,
corner of North Day and Freeway Drive.
Oh, that was an old,
What was it
it
called?
doesn't matter what it was. It's one of the 5 lots that's not owned by the Tenasia family. And those 5 lots are being appraised currently by the
So why
condemnation
could-
appraiser.
We could just make arrangement to tear it down, because it can't be renovated.
You say by the condemnation appraiser, so that's...
Yeah.
That's on track. If I may continue, please.
Thank you for
Councilman
letting me
Jackson.
ask my
You're
question.
welcome. And the 363 is the next one, and it is a resolution approving list of private snow
It's
plowing.
withdrawn.
Yes, all right, wonderful.
That's being withdrawn?
Yep, because it needs to go out to bid. You can't do it this way.
All righty. How about, wow, I won't pay attention to that one. That's all I had. Thank you very much.
Councilman Johnson, you're welcome. Council members? Oh, Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned, 7:50 PM.
So the only correction that needs to be made is Resolution 354, which I said should be withdrawn, is not an administration resolution, so you can disregard what I said.
So it's not being withdrawn.
We have the recommendation though, right?
Okay, what I wanted to ask then...
We're not in the meeting right now. Let me
Oh,
start the
I'm sorry.
meeting.
Okay.
This is,
I'll do it. No, go ahead.
this is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chambers, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, December 18, 2018, following the conference meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Here.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Here.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Present.
Also present, Joyce Lanier, the city clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, business administrator, Gracia R. Montillis, the city attorney, Kenneth Douglas, the fire director, Adrian Mapp, the finance director, Joy Lascari, chief financial officer, Marlon G. Towns, legislative research officer, Margarita Homer, senior clerk in clerk's office, Lisette Sanchez, record support technician. Captain Dunn represent the police? Captain Dunn, police? And Captain Dunn from the police department. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et sec, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger, published in the record transcript on July 12, 2018, posted on bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the office of the city clerk. Minutes. October 2nd, conference and regular meeting minutes. Councilman Johnson Jr. was not present and cannot vote. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. Roll call, Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
Department monthly revenue collection reports. For the month of November 2018, the clerk's office collected $1,041. The Historic Preservation Commission for the month of November collected $70. Constable reports. Darnell Brody for November had no activity. There are no OPA reports. Council reports.
Council members?
Council President.
Councilman Johnson?
Two things. The library didn't meet this month, but I'm glad we had a new director come forward. I'll be looking to be a regular at their meetings going forth in 2019. Yesterday, I apologize to Finance Committee. I was unable to make it because of prior commitment, but I'm glad to be back on the Finance Committee. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee?
Thank you, Council President. As just was stated, the Finance Committee met yesterday. In attendance with myself, Mr. Hartwick, our business administrator, our city attorney, Mr. Montellis, Director of Finance, Mr. Mapp, citizen appointment, Carol Perkins, senior clerk, Quinn Fields, and our budget consultant, Megan O'Hanlon. At the opening of the meeting, we made some general inquiries, and the first one, because it came to me, albeit that it's not financial, I'm still going to ask Mr. Hartwick to speak on it. It was about foxes in the South Ward.
Sure. We've gotten a lot of calls, and there's been some Facebook posts, excuse me, about foxes in the South Ward. Foxes are not animals that can be removed by the animal control officer. That's not permitted under state wildlife regulations. The only time that the animal control officer can pick up and remove a fox is if it appears to be rabid. We nonetheless encourage the public, if they have a sighting of a fox or if a fox is hanging out in their yard or their driveway, and definitely if it is threatening small dogs or cats, or approaching a human being during daylight hours, to call. If it's after hours, they should call the police desk. The police desk will get in touch with the animal control officer. He will come out and assess the situation and, if necessary, remove the fox. However, if the fox does not appear rabid, the animal control officer has no authority to remove the fox, and therefore you will have to coexist. Correct.
No codes. Huh?
The fox was seen in the West Ward, too. I want that on the books. Yeah.
The same thing applies to the foxes in the West Ward, the East Ward, and the North Ward.
And just because it's going to be a matter of record, there will be no discussion at this point, but in January, Mr. Hartwick will be discussing employee benefits as it pertains to disability.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. McInerney was here to discuss the audit, and as stated, there will be a work session with the council and the administration and budget consultant and auditor and others as requested in sometime in January, date soon to be announced. Ordinances 58 and 59. Did we get anything from the local finance board?
No.
We did not get that.
No, but just so everyone knows, I was in attendance at the local finance board meeting along with our bond counsel, and the local finance board voted to approve both of our applications, and those applications were the necessary approvals for ordinance 58, 2018, and 59, 2018.
And did we get the revised report for 58? No, actually, I got you. Ms. Lanier, there was a request for the clerk's office, 58, 2018, the report with the streets. There was a revised report numbering the streets in priority, and it was asked last night that report.
58. It was received from Marty, and then I forwarded it to everybody.
No, I asked could it be here tonight at the
Oh,
meeting. Okay, that's what I'm telling you, yeah. So if we could, that one. And then, and it was also asked if the clerk's office could print down the agenda for the local finance board for the meeting, which stated that we were on the agenda. 62, the changing fees, just asked for a cover page. Did we get that, Mr. Martellus?
That cover page, sorry?
62, 2018.
That cover page for 62 and 63, the cover pages were submitted with the original.
And
to the
it does
clerk's office.
state definitively
It
what,
does.
okay, so 60, if there is a summary page for 62, it's highlighting what what fees were actually changed. Going to the resolutions, 349, 2018, this is being paid due to a negligence by the city. As stated, 351 is to be withdrawn. 352, this is a normal procedure to insert grants that have been received throughout the year. This is 353 is a grant for the nurses, for our seniors. 354, I think there was some conversation, Council President, there was a request that this, so the request was that it be postponed. And then, because we're at the end of the year, it shouldn't be postponed, that it be withdrawn and resubmitted at the first meeting in January, once the temporary budget is put forth. 355 is a shared service resolution. 356, 2018, what's my notes? This is authorization, authorizing, not allocating. I'm just reading the notes. Do you?
356 is the authorization to hold an electronic tax sale in 2019.
Okay, right. And the changes that were brought forth at the last meeting in terms of how the how the tax on the printout looked, it had names instead of addresses, has been corrected. 357 was a reimbursement because this person should have not been paying taxes. 358 was the appointment to the CDBG, which will be the Director of Community Services and our Council President. 359 was discussed, that was the block and lots that the clerk noticed that were not properly, and Mr. Hartwick stated what we should do. 361 is just for the work to be performed. 362, this resolution goes in association with the bond ordinance. 363 is to be withdrawn.
Correct.
364, 2018, this is an annual resolution?
No.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm
No,
sorry.
this is, I'm sorry, because I'm reading the notes and,
In the 2018 budget, we added funds for a couple of contingent liabilities, and those contingent liabilities continue to exist. They'll probably be resolved in the first quarter of 2019, so I'm asking that the amounts that were included in the 2018 budget be reserved for that purpose, so that we don't have to raise it again in 2019.
so just on the notes for the Finance Committee, I'm just amending that to be BA to discuss. 366, 67, and 368. Mr. Hartwick, can you just?
66, 67, and 68 are just establishing the lists that we do on an annual basis based upon the RFQs that we send out for lawyers.
Right. And did we get a copy of the RFQ?
No,
We didn't print that down?
no.
That was asked.
I know, I'm talking, go ahead.
No, I was answering the BA. He was looking at me. I
I was
could read his
looking at
mind.
Okay. And is anybody downstairs? Can we have that was supposed to be printed and put on our desk? And 371, as stated by the clerk at the top of the meeting, there will be a walk-on, and that will be discussed at the appropriate time. So there will be a walk-on, and will be named number 371, 2018.
You skipped 369.
I'm
That was
reading
the
notes.
transfer resolution.
The transfer resolution. So 369, and again, amending the notes.
I just wanted to point out that it's the smallest transfer resolution we've done here in a while. It's about $650,000, which is less than 1% of your budget.
And also, it's noted that our budget consultant was with us last night, and they had an opportunity to review, and they're recommending that we pass the transfer resolution. And, Council President, I might come back, but that's it for right now.
Thank you. Planning?
No report, we're meeting tomorrow night.
Thank you much. ABC?
No report.
Anything from the Housing Authority?
There's a meeting Thursday. For the meeting, it's agenda, yeah, for the meeting on Thursday.
Okay. Okay, Public Works?
Yeah, we should do that now.
Council President,
Council President, could we just do a correction real quick?
On,
Yeah. Ms. Gordon, do you mind just standing by just for a second, please?
If you're looking at the agenda and you look at Resolution 367, the title on the agenda omits a law firm that's included in the resolution. I just want to bring that to everybody's attention so nobody thinks that we're trying to hide it. The name of the firm included in the resolution that got omitted from this is Ehrlich Petrillo.
yeah, Ehrlich, Petrillo, Gooden, and Plaza.
Mr. Hartwick, just one thing I paused with the budget consultant, and you had some things to work out. Was it on 371?
It was on 371, and those changes are reflected in the resolution that's on your table.
Okay, and you read the recommendations regarding the emergency resolution?
You meaning the 3%?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
And-
those changes were made.
Gotcha, that's what I was hoping for. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Ms. Gordon, thank you for your patience.
Sorry about that.
The Public Works Committee met last Tuesday, and there were guests, Captain Dunn from the police department, and Councilwoman Williams from the council, and Mr. Mays represented the administration. the issue issue discussed was the snow removal procedure for the upcoming winter period. In particular, to make the curb-to-curb snow removal possible in light of parked cars on the streets. We made progress in the issue, but did not came to a conclusion. So we are going to have, before the end of the year, a follow-up meeting where we hope to finish up this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Is Captain Dunn? Anything from the police department?
Captain Dunn from the Orange Police Department. Santa Claus is coming tomorrow to the Orange Police Department between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. So,
Make
for
sure he
all
doesn't
the
get a
kids,
ticket when he parks his
yeah. For all the kids and children are invited to come and meet Santa Claus, and we have, I believe there's a ton of presents there at the moment, so it should be a fun time for everybody. I was also going to speak about the recent fire we had, but I see the fire department's here. I don't want to steal their thunder. It seemed like it was a very good joint operation between the police department and the fire department, and my understanding from a report I have in front of me, 2 individuals were saved as a result of the actions by both the fire department and the police department. So I really don't have anything else other than the fact that tomorrow's going to be Christmas at the police department. Everyone's welcome to come. Children between 3 and 6, and there's a lot of gifts. So that's really all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
Council members, any questions?
Sure.
It still should be, yeah. I'm gonna have Freddie check right now.
While finishing up their sidebar, Director Douglas, you have anything you want to add? Yes.
Okay. Kenneth Douglas, Director of the Fire Department. Good evening, Council President, Council members, Mr. Hartwick. I'd like to give you a brief wrap-up of the report, but before I begin that, in the last week, we had 2 major fires in the city of Orange Township. And I'd like to commend those members of the Orange Fire Department. Just to give you a brief of what happened in the fires, I'm going to bring up my Operations Deputy Chief, Chief Paserchio, to briefly talk about the 2 fires.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
First fire, 691 Scotland Road, came in a fully involved structure fire. Police reported it on fire. Problem with that fire was that there were no smoke detectors in the home. We cannot stress that enough, that we offer them through the Red Cross, through the Division of Community Affairs. We will go in your house and install smoke detectors. We can't emphasize that enough, overemphasize it enough. Come to the firehouse, just sign a piece of paper with your address, and we'll come to your house and install smoke detectors for you. Complicating that fire was a vicious dog attack on 2 homeowners. The homeowners evacuated the structure with massive leg burns and shoulder burns, and a dog turned on them being spooked by the fire and attacked the female resident, first floor tenant, in her driveway. So that hindered the operation, the fire attack initially. Second fire on 43 Hilliard Street, 2 rescues were made. Orange Police first on scene, confirmed structure fire. They calmed 2 victims that were standing, one in a window, one on a roof, ready to jump because they were burned. They calmed them down, eased them that we were coming. Engine 1 from Washington Street was first on scene. They raised a ground ladder to the window. Firefighter James Antoine climbed the window. The window actually came down on the one individual. He had to prop the window up while maneuvering the individual onto the ladder and carry the burned individual down the ladder himself. That ladder was then passed over to another window, or actually to the roof, and they brought down another burn victim, suffered second and third degree burns. Firefighter Kyrie Silas brought that victim down from the ladder with the help of their captain, Adonis Hanna. To make matters worse on that fire, as the first hose line was being put into the structure, burning debris had fallen onto the hose line and burned the hose line through, making it inoperable. So that was a delay in the fire attack. But the rescues take paramount precedent. Life over structure is how we believe you can rebuild houses. You can't bring back lives. So I'd like to commend Orange Police and the Orange firefighters for an outstanding job going above and beyond what we expect from them.
Whose tour was it?
I'm sorry?
Which tour was it?
That was tour 4, the Hilliard Street fire.
How do you determine the cause?
That was started by a kitchen fire. It was cooking approximately 3 o'clock in the morning.
At Hilliard? And the other one?
The other one was electrical, I believe. I had it classified undetermined. But initial reports were from the tenant that the fire started behind his television, his flat screen television.
Were both incidents tour 4 incidents?
Tour 1 was Scotland Road. Tour 4, Hilliard Street.
Thank you.
Councilwoman, Ms. Johnson?
Okay, so the Scotland fire was in the South Ward, and one of the residents goes to my son's school, so that was, they were affected by it, but I commend the Orange Board of Education because what they've been doing is they've been doing dress down days, and what it does is it allows the kids to feel as though they're helping. So that one, I'm so glad that you were able to get everyone out. Now the Hilliard one, I've been all through that house. That house is owned by my best friend's grandfather. So when I drove past to see it, and then my husband is in the same Irvington, he was mutual aid. So I'm like, it's just so fast that everything could be going. But the one thing I was happy about was that no one died in that fire. Like you said, you can definitely rebuild.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think the city of Orange has seen our fair share of fires. And the first thing everybody's like, what? It's just always around the holidays.
Always around the holidays.
Always.
And just in the report that I prepared, just since the last council meeting, our fires over the previous month have increased by, not fires, but incidents or alarm activations by 2.5 times. We have 212 alarm activations in the last month as opposed to the 75 in the previous month.
Even with you coming to monthly meetings and they say the same thing every meeting, that they'll put the smoke detectors in, even with the smoke presentation at the smoke expo, even October being
Smoke
month,
prevention month, yeah.
we still, okay, no problem.
No, thank you.
Also, Council President, on Hilliard,
Yes.
which was interesting yesterday, it looks like they didn't lose, one of the families did, because they were moving out. They had a U-Haul and they were moving some stuff that they probably could salvage.
First floor, they probably could salvage.
Yeah, they could salvage. So I thought, I said, wow, at least they were able to save something. Yeah,
People
so,
on Scotland lost everything. The house had to be torn down. It was an imminent hazard.
I
So it
heard.
was torn down later that day.
right. Oh, how did that happen? Because everybody's asking how that house got torn down so fast. Village administrator, was it the owner that tore it down?
I'm sorry, which?
The owner.
Scotland Road.
It's probably the insurance company.
And the construction official, Paul Arthur, deemed it an unsafe structure.
Right.
And because everybody's asking, say, how, in Orange, how did that house get torn down and a fence around it the next day when we have other structures that's been up like 3 and 4 years, so.
That one was an imminent hazard because they were afraid it was going to fall into Scotland.
Oh, okay.
Almost always when it happens that quickly, it's because you have a cooperative insurance company
That's what I was
or there are
gonna
no
say.
liens on the property.
Because both owners were available.
Right.
Right.
Council members, any other questions, comments?
Council President. So Deputy Chief and Director, just police department and civilians, it's times like this, we all come together, but it's important that we do because it helps everybody do their job a little bit more, whether it's the school participating, and I mean, even after hours, getting calls from different persons at the school or the fire department where they needed different help in different areas. So continue, I mean, this is what you do it well, but it's never can hear thank you too much, so thank you. And as well as to the police and the civilians who are not here, who constantly are doing this work.
Thank you. And I'd like to reiterate something that Deputy Chief Pasercio stated. These two fires were fast-moving fires. Now, there were victims that did suffer burns or heavy smoke inhalation, and I can't stress enough the fact that there was a delay of them getting notified because of lack of smoke detectors in those buildings. On the first fire, definitely after speaking to those individuals at the hospital, and actually the second fire. And I can't stress enough that these smoke detectors are free in the city of Orange. Everybody needs to call us. We install them, we get them for free. They're donated by the Red Cross and the Department of Community Affairs. We have many of them, and we can install them for you. And I like to give recognition where recognition is due, between 201 and 204 for those two fires. But the second fire, I'd like to recognize certain individuals. Captain Hannah, he was part of the rescue crew, firefighter Antoine, firefighter Silas, and Orange police officers Lieutenant Snyder, Officer DeSantis, and Officer Kumar. If it wasn't for these individuals, those two persons in the Hilliard Street fire would not be here today. They rescued them from the top of the roof, and actually one individual was hanging from his hands from the third floor window. So I'd like to commend all those vehicles and recommending them for accommodations, and I'll pass that on to the BA and the mayor. As it relates on a lighter note, the fire department will be hosting our annual toy drive giveaway, and I'd like to bring our community relations specialist here, Captain Jamie Anderson, to talk about that briefly.
You're a specialist? Come on, sir.
Hello.
What's up, sir? How are you, sir?
I am blessed, thank you. Hopefully all of you are. I wrote in a book, I'm just gonna let this be my comments, that if it's okay.
Sure.
If it's okay. I originally was gonna say something else, but I'm a fair person, but I'm just gonna say this first before I get on to that. I have a very low tolerance for angry, obtuse, racist little men. Thank you. Especially when the ire of that person is directed towards those who have absolutely nothing to do with their racist, unhinged rant. So I'm going to leave it at that, okay? That being said, we at the Orange Fire Department went out and collected money with our red fire boots, and people were very generous, very generous. A lot of people gave, including Main Street merchants like Mr. Manny Munoz back here. And through the connections of the fire director, we now have thousands of toys, thousands. You know, it grows every year, but this year, it's really blowing. My knees hurt from, picking these, getting these toys, and, the people are there, the girls and guys there, they're great. They're separating everything. It's really a blessing for our smallest residents. I just want to say, I want to thank those at the fire department, the director, because, I'm close to retirement, and, I've been doing this most of my career. And every year it just, gets bigger and bigger, and I'm just in awe of it. And hopefully when I retire, I can come back and volunteer my services even more. I just want to let you all know what the director said, that it's Friday. Originally it was supposed to be from 3 to 7, but we have so much that it's probably going to have to be 3 till we get rid of it.
What's the age brackets?
Baby on up.
Baby to Council President Coleman.
Well, I'll be there.
You're too old.
We need to go up a little
If
higher.
you like me, you got grandchildren. I got grandchildren.
Still like
so-
toys.
What time does it start?
3. 3. On Friday, 3. And the weather's supposed to be okay. It's going to rain earlier, but 50-something degrees, so I expect a lot of people to come.
It's a good day.
Nice.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
I want to thank the fire department and the police department for doing this. Last year, I went into some homes to bring some toys, and there's a misconception about the South Ward. For some reason, people think that they're gonna go in this house and it's gonna look like Willy Wonka with toys and things like that. But when I went into some of those homes, the toys I brought in were the only toys, and I got the toys from the fire department, they were left over. They were the only toys that those kids received. So I think that it is, for you, I've seen the pictures of how many toys there are now. And I know that even though your job is a thankful job, it can be thankless at times.
Don't I
And I
know
just
it?
want you to, both departments, to stay motivated, because these little kids in Orange, I mean, the way you guys, they really believe that Santa is bringing it, you know what I mean? So I just
Santa is
continue
bringing
it,
it.
and like you said, go up, because we think kids at 12 and 13, they don't want toys, but they'll sit there and play with a remote control car, you know, it doesn't matter. So I just want you to know, thank you. So no
Thank
matter
you.
what else
Thank you.
is going on,
That's right.
laser focus
Yes.
on our kids.
Yes, that's what's
and
most
that's
important.
The most important thing.
Absolutely.
Council
Absolutely.
President?
Yes, Councilwoman.
So Captain Dillon just said Santa's going to be here tomorrow? So he's going to, Santa is going to be available to go around the city? No, I'm asking direct, I'm just, so, I just want to make sure people to know is Santa going to be driving around?
Well, on that day, probably not, but I know that the mayor set something up with Santa Claus, with police and the fire department, that we do actually go around the city and deliver toys also.
But you're not, I know the Antique is not available to
Yes,
do what
it's
you
not
normally
available.
do.
Yes.
So, Rudolph and Santa and them won't be doing their caravan this year on Main Street?
With the mayor, yes.
So it will be?
We're working on the sleigh.
Okay, so.
The sleigh is not working right now.
No, I'm just asking you, once confirmed, can you just send out?
Absolutely.
So we'll know where to.
We'll send the message.
Because I know he's busy and I want to be here. Yeah, because he has a lot of places to go. So I just want to make sure.
Right now, the problem is that Rudolph has a broken ball joint.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, he's trying to.
And he's over at Select Towing, getting that taken care of.
So Santa may be able to pull it off.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so, and just to give us notice, because I know a lot of people want to be there to see Santa.
I will, thank you. And I'd like to just lastly say, I want to thank all the members of the Orange Fire Department for all they've done, not just within the department, but within the community. And I want to thank the mayor, the business administrator, Mr. Hartwig, the law department, Mr. Montolas, Mr. Mapp, Ms. Lascaria, and the finance department, Marty Mays, of course, in Public Works, the members of the Orange Police Department, and this governing body, Orange City Council and Council President. And thank you for your success, your support for our success for the year 2018. And we look for a successful and probably better successful 2019. I thank you for all your assistance.
And just also, there'll be everything, just the whole thing will be just like it has been in previous. People get pictures and all that last. I just want to make sure, so I know, tell people, you'll do the pictures and everything.
Well, the toughest thing, everybody has a camera phone right now, so our pictures might not be good enough. So,
but there is
so
some
we're taking
availability,
pictures.
okay.
Yes, of course. It'd be plenty of time to take pictures. We have thousands of toys. It's just the fact that what time we're going to be finished, I don't know.
Okay.
It's 3 p.m. until.
3 p.m. until, okay.
It's
All
3
right.
p.m. to 8, right?
Until we
Until-
finish
Do you
all
think-
our toys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, Council President, just so we're clear, Wednesday night, the fire department.
Police department.
Police department is giving away toys.
Yes.
Thursday night, the Housing Authority is having their 11th annual Children's Holiday Party from 5 to 8 at 340 Thomas Boulevard. And Friday night, the fire department is giving away toys.
And Santa's expected at all three
Right,
locations.
so, yeah, Santa's gonna be
Now,
here Wednesday,
which night
Thursday, and
is
Friday.
this? Isn't the mayor doing a separate one also?
Yes,
What night is his?
I don't know.
Thursday.
His is
night?
Thursday also? So you got 2 on Thursday.
I'm having me a lot of toys.
The 5, the mayor at the Elks Club, and then you have 340 Thomas Boulevard. So there's no reason any kids should go without toys this Christmas.
I'm the biggest
All the
kid.
parents has to do is get there, get in line, and get toys for your children.
And that's what, to that point, Councilwoman Summers Johnson, that under the sound of our breath, that if somebody has problems getting to any of the places Councilwoman Easton just stated, that they should, whether they reach out to the clerk's office, the police department, the fire department, and just knowing how all of us pretty much work together, if they were to, that they had transportation, we will make it available to get to them. So don't, just make a phone call and we'll work it out.
But even if they can't make it and they need toys, they can just call the fire department or one of the locations and somebody will deliver.
That's what we just said.
Absolutely. Really.
That's what I just said.
Well, lastly, I want to thank the United States Marine Corps.
I think our president volunteered.
You know what? I'm gonna borrow me a caddy, a red caddy.
A nice red Santa caddy.
Santa Cat.
I got me a caddy. I have a slave parked right inside the building.
Okay, I got you.
A caddy.
But lastly, I want to thank the United States Marine Corps Toys for Tots, which
Yes,
is
sir.
actually my base when I was in the Marine Corps, the Marine 225 at Picatinny Arsenal in Dover, New Jersey.
Yep.
They're the ones that actually do the Toys for Tots for this area. It was good to go to my old base, and I want to thank Chief Williams up there for allowing us to bring the toys to the city of Orange Township.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
there, sis. Say hello to my friend Don Curry. He works up there.
Okay,
Thanks so much, Aaron. Really appreciate you.
thank you,
All
and
right.
thank you, and
Safe.
happy holidays to all.
Thank you.
Real quick, I'm nuts
Yes,
and
sir.
bolts guy. Did we get that hose replaced?
We had extra hose there.
You had extra
So
hose?
it'll be on 2019's budget.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm talking about.
But Director, before you say, but also at the fire on Scotland Road, didn't we have a fireman to get hurt?
Yeah, one that suffered. Okay, yes. Yes, one had a shoulder injury and one, a small burn on the wrist and another one burn on the knees.
But they're okay.
Yes, they're okay, yes. And actually, one is back to work already.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you
Thank you.
much. Madam Clerk?
Did you call housing authority?
Housing, yes, didn't have any, just the agenda.
Communications and petitions. We received a letter from Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission dated December 14th, rescheduling the public hearing regarding the City of Newark appeal, PVC assessment of third and fourth quarter 2018 user charges. The new date is Wednesday, March 13th, 2019 at 10 a.m. at PVC Public Meeting Room located at 600 Wilson Avenue, Newark, New Jersey. Citizen comments. Pursuant to Section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name in an audible tone for the record, unless further time is granted by the presiding officer to limit his or her address to 5 minutes. The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments.
Jeff Fell?
Good evening, my name is Jeffrey Feld, a local businessman, mortgagee, and attorney whose local business address is 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. As my custom, I delivered a heads-up memo with exhibits to the City Council, BA, city attorney, legislative research officer yesterday. I incorporate all my questions and comments in there was based at the last city council meeting. We were told of the new policy that the city council will not answer our pertinent questions. At the beginning, I'd like to wish everyone season's greetings on behalf of myself, my family, and our employees, for whatever holidays you do celebrate in the next 2 weeks, whether it's Kwanzaa, Christmas, if the Hindus have a holiday, Diwali, just to enjoy it. I don't believe in coincidences. In the last 2 meetings, we've had scheduled presentations on the calendar year 2018 best practice inventory and the calendar year 2017 audit action compliance plan. Both have been postponed, and based on the finance committee meetings minutes from the last one and statements earlier tonight, I believe that the public should be invited, that these presentations should not occur in a work session. They need to be at a publicly advertised and broadcast meetings because it's so important to understand the action compliance plan. As to coincidences, I don't believe in coincidences. In the last week, there's been obituaries about John Gibbons, who was a legal lion, who fought for, when the riots occurred, that people had access to justice, even the people that were in Guantanamo Bay, access to justice. The reason I say that, because there's many cases where the city has stood up and said, myself and various citizens did not have standing to raise questions as to what was going on here. Also, in today's Star Ledger, it's interesting, one of the dictionaries, I think Merriam-Webster says the most popular word this year is the word justice. That was in the Star Ledger, which I find very interesting. Friday, DCA issued a press release about certain projects, and 2 of them involved Orange. Some they involved projects involving hands, involving stuff that occurred in Feld 1 about the project in 540. I think the people need to look at that, because when you look at the Finance Committee meetings from the last meeting, there was references about having a plaque for the Radium Girls. That's part of the program that was being discussed in the DCA press release, and the person that raised it got honored by hands. There's a lot of times there's quid pro quos, in my opinion, that are going on here. Also, Time Magazine, very interesting. The person of the year is the press, right, for being guardians of the truth. Because things are happening here, and I wish Ms. Stewart was here, about Lincoln, we the people, government of the people, by the people, for the people. And it's a question about transparency, accountability, and adherence to the rule of law. I gave you various questions. People need to understand that in the last 2 weeks, the State Supreme Court denied the petition for certification of Feld 11, remanding the case for the trial court to determine what should be the remedy when there's a conflict of interest. I've been always saying, when there's a conflict of interest, the transaction is void. One of the problems I'm having is I can't get that case listed on the computer that it's open. That tells me that someone does not want to hear the remedy of that case. In addition, Feld 5. On February 7th, the city and myself made a representation to the appellate division that the case is settled, and it had to be subject to the approval of the city council. Never in almost a year has that resolution been looked at it. Because you look at the McDougal settlement, there's a settlement agreement that occurred in 2017. Why did it take the 2017 to the last meeting in 2018 to approve a settlement? The FBI subpoenas. I made Oprah requests. I'm still waiting for some kind of either a letter or a lawsuit to be filed by the city. This has been going on for around July 1st. That's 6 months. This is transparency, accountability. Retention resolutions, Feld 18 and the remanded Feld 11. Because today you're doing self-registration. Why aren't there resolutions specifically for those cases with caps? As to the resolution about the Main Street designation study, I'm very concerned. When you look at the actual study, this is a redevelopment plan with condemnation powers. My property is subject to eminent domain. When I went to the planning board, I said, why is my property subject to eminent domain? I've not had an answer to that. I have 1 second to say. Read the last paragraph of that Main Street study. This shows you the things. If it doesn't say it's a Main Street thing, read it. I know you're cutting me off because you don't want to answer the answers, but I'll be here for the two ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Henry, Derek Henry.
Good evening. Derek Henry, 253 Ogden Street, Orange, New Jersey. In light of the last two recent fire incidents, I too would like to commend the services of all of the civil servants involved in the remediation of both incidents thereof. But this evening, I stand before you to recognize and, if not, implore the efforts of a lesser-known group of civil servants, our crossing guards. That core of people who are out there 10 months a year, 9 months a year, crossing the future of our city, the eyes and ears who are reportable, for lack of a better term, to the council, to the police, to the parents, to all of us. As I've been walking the district, literally, it has been rumored, and I hate to delve in rumors, so I come to the council seeking fact, that our crossing guards are not receiving uniform vouchers, that some of the guards are holding on to uniforms that are several years old. And if we are asking them to, if we are entrusting them on a day-to-day basis, and if I understand correctly, there have been 2 incidents this year where crossing guards have gotten accosted by students. If we are entrusting them to cross the future of our city, at the very least, if said is true, can we resolve the voucher issue, or can someone bring me up to speed on what is going on as far as crossing guards and or their uniform vouchers? Because we wouldn't expect our more recognized police and fire civil servants to go years without replacing equipment and or uniforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. We'll work back. Mr. B.
That's it?
That's it. That's it.
Can I get a motion to close citizen comments?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. B, any comments regarding the crossing guards not having proper uniforms and uniform vouchers?
I'm a little surprised. I'm the designated representative of the mayor when it comes to union issues. They're represented by a union. This is the first I'm hearing about it. So I haven't received anything in writing. Nobody's called me to tell me. Nobody stopped in. I didn't get an email. I'll look into it tomorrow. And I didn't check Facebook. I usually don't get my information from there. And if there's an issue, I'll resolve it.
Okay, and you have Mr. Fell a few questions that he had?
I've addressed several of them already in the presentation as to what is and is not on the agenda. City Attorney,
Yes,
the letter?
yes. The, with respect to the subpoenas,
Correct.
that's been addressed and forwarded out by my office today.
Okay, and the DJ action?
The GJ action is ready for filing. That will be filed electronically in the morning.
Okay. Let's see. The aggregate amount of the tax overpayment with regard to Resolution 357, 2018 is $70,930.10. For those of you that don't know what that's about, I was sitting in the front row at the planning board meeting where they discussed the Main Street redevelopment plan. The Reverend from the Ethiopian church got up and spoke because his property is in the area. And one of the things that the Reverend mentioned was that he had paid taxes to the city and he gave an amount. I was a little shocked to hear that a reverend from a church had been paying taxes. So I looked into it, I scheduled a meeting, the mayor and I discussed it, and I discussed it with the tax collector and the assessor. There's no question about the fact that the church was given the wrong information, and they should have been, based upon several case decisions, they should have been designated as exempt. Fortunately, we were able to come to a figure that is acceptable to the church and that the city can deal with. And we'll be writing that check after the resolution passes. The statutory authority is we weren't entitled to the money to begin with. It's pretty simple. Not only did they qualify for the exemption, but they applied for the exemption and it was denied. Let's see. The aggregate amount of the salary settlement reserve resolution, neither of those two accounts have been touched, so it's $800,000 from the salary adjustment account. The salary adjustment account, the remaining balance was inside of cap. This is the outside of cap piece. And the $750,000 pension piece was also outside of cap, and we're reserving both in their entirety. There are some new firms that have been added to the shelf registration. Off the top of my head, give me a minute, I'll tell you who. And if I get it wrong, the city attorney will correct me. Under Resolution 366, Post, Pollock, Gazelle, and Strockler has been added. Was Chasen on that originally?
Yes.
Chasen later?
Yes.
Okay. On 367, we have added Mulcahy and Flanagan, Post, Pollock, Yvette Gibbons, and Ehrlich Petrullo.
Yep.
Pardon? Jeanette was on, I don't know that she's been added. She might have been moved from one group to another. And on 368, we added Rienzi Wirtz, Ehrlich Petrillo. That's it.
Yep.
You're finished with Mr. Fields?
No, I have about
Okay, no, okay, I'm sorry.
38 more.
Okay, go ahead.
The transfer resolution. The aggregate amount of the transfer resolution, which, and I promise I'll put this in the, I'll put the amounts in the titles in 2019. And I actually sent a directive out to all department heads today and to the law department indicating that from now on, any resolutions or ordinances need to have the dollar amount set forth prominently in the title. Let me just check this. 369. The aggregate amount of the transfer is $697,600, thereabouts, which, as I said earlier, is less than 1% of our budget. Let's see. Who determines what farms we use for redevelopment, defense, and tax appeals? Those are within the, once they're on the list, it's within the province of the city attorney. Obviously, the mayor, as the appointing authority, has ultimate say, and to the extent that it involves a legal contract that needs to be approved by the city council, they have a voice in that selection as well. I don't have a good answer to the question as to why there's a 2017 settlement agreement that's only coming to the council now. What I can tell you is that back in 2017, I actually was involved in pushing this to the law department to resolve and identifying funds in the municipal self-insurance fund. This was damage that occurred to a house as a result of the city's negligence. The damages were in excess of $27,000. We settled with the homeowner for $15,000 in accordance with the terms of the resolution. And I don't know what transpired back and forth from that point on, but I was aware of the settlement in 17. So it needs to be paid. And those are all of the questions that I can answer at this particular point in time. For Mr. Feld.
Council President, I just...
Councilwoman?
The one about the Radium Girls,
Yes.
I just want you to clarify that received a citizen's call, and I in turn called you, and then I put it on the record in terms of putting a plaque. So all the thing about hands honoring and a quid pro quo, I just want to be dismissive of that because it was a simple call and how we
Sure.
responded.
Alden Park, as everyone who's familiar with Orange's history knows, was the site of the work and factory that was done by the Radium Girls. The Radium Girls, as they have become known, were ultimately responsible for the creation of workers' compensation laws as well as POSHA laws and OSHA laws. So there is a very significant historic connection to the park. We're looking at in the administration, the possibility of erecting a monument stone plaque at the park. Further to that point, and I wasn't here at the last meeting or I would have addressed it then, we've had members of the public get up and stand at the podium and talk about that the site is not environmentally clean, that it's never been remediated, that they've not been able to get any information about that. I can't address any of that. All I can tell everyone is that within 48 hours of those statements being made, we had contacted the appropriate person at the EPA and the DEP. We have letters basically saying that the properties have been remediated, everything's been done, that the city has followed every protocol and requirement that EPA and DEP has laid before them, and that there is currently no risk to the public's health in the utilization of those facilities as a park, nor has there been for several years. We posted that letter on the website so that everyone can see it.
Council President, and also because I lived there, they did that whole area, including my house. A lot of people got new garages, and all of that dirt was remediated, so I don't know where that came from, that it was never done. They had trailers in that park for almost a year remediating the area, and I don't think anyone would believe that the county nor the state would allow us to put a park on soil that has not been tested and considered to be clean. So they did that years ago. And I think sometimes when people want to throw a monkey wrench in something, they go back and dig up old stuff that's already been taken care of just to put in the public's mind. Yeah, maybe it's not so, but I've been living there since 1973, and they did remediate that whole area,
Fake
So I don't know
news,
where they
that's
got
all.
the
That's fake
information.
news.
Huh?
Fake news.
Yeah, fake news, you're right, that's fake news.
Thank you.
Well, you learned something from our president, huh?
Yes, yes, I do. What she said?
I want to see if our microphone works.
Okay.
Mine.
Sure.
Are we at council comments?
We are,
You still answering questions? You still answering questions?
no.
We finished.
We're finished. And we're getting ready to do council comments. We'll start with you.
Thank you.
Yes.
On December 11th, I attended the 150th anniversary of Orange High School. It was a really nice event. The band was there. The students prepared the food. Each of the alumni that was recognized received a really nice Orange High shirt. The only thing that upsets me about things like that is there was no media coverage. And I understand it was way too positive for our local paper. But I think that that's what sets us apart from other towns, that they really rally around their schools and the positive things that were going on. Because I stood on the stage as the first African-American South Ward councilwoman next to principals and doctors, and it was just a really good feeling. But other than the email that goes out weekly from the district, you probably won't see it. And then I laughed some more because I read the local paper, and I never get anything positive, right? So I read the paper, the only thing they decide to write about me is that I said East Orange has a lot of welcome signs and Orange needs more. Like, so when we talk about press, it's foolish to me because they gear what they want to say, and even though it's the Orange and East Orange transcript, it should just be called the East Orange transcript because there's absolutely nothing positive about the city of Orange. And I joke when I say Facebook and you say, no one would believe that. Yes, people with college degrees actually believe social media over factual information. And until that type of behavior changes, these rumors, our BA will have to, who they believe, no matter what you say, BA. BA said it is law, right? So continue to dispel all rumors at these meetings, and hopefully it'll pass like gossip. I also attended the Orange High School home opener, which was a very hard game to watch. My cousin is a senior at Montclair, so my whole family was on the Montclair side. But the highlight of the game for me was watching Orange High alumni, recent alumni basketball players walked in with such pride with their college shirts on. So for the people to the sound of my voice that think our kids are not going to college, we're not just going, we're graduating, we're excelling. But again, when he talked about the crossing guards, the reason why I chuckle is because if you don't go through the correct chain of command, you're not going to get anything. And as a school teacher, I can't just ask for something. I do have a union. There's a proper way to do things. And I know Orange likes to do things their way. And then when we do it the right way, why are you doing it like that? Let's do it the right way. So residents, thank you for the ones that contact me and allow me to do my job. When you contact me about zoning issues or anything like that, I put myself in touch with the people that can get you the help you need. Now, you can continue to go on social media and ask, I don't know, Zuckerberg, someone to answer it, but we have to get to the point where we utilize our directors, our council people. I say it every time I can. There are 4 ward council, there are 3, 4 ward, and there are 3 at large. There's no reason why you can't get the help that you need. Around this time, I'll say it again, check on your neighbors, check on your friends, check on your family. People recently lost family members. The holidays just brings out something else. And, you know, I don't even know how you could even be negative around the holidays, but I'm sure there's an avenue for that. Anything that you want as far as Oprah requests or anything like that, everything, we are really working together. I heard this auditor say that we had no comments from, I clapped from the tax department. We have to start applauding the things. We can see it. Those that are sitting here, like Councilman Johnson said, we can actually see there's a shift. Let's applaud the shift. Let's not keep going backwards and backwards and backwards. Let's applaud the shifts and the positive things that are going on. We can talk about negative stuff all day long. So with that, I say have a happy holiday, stay safe, and let's bring nothing foolish into 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams?
Thank you, Council President. Good evening. I just want to, actually, I'm going to start off where or Councilwoman Summers Johnson, in the latter part of her comments, and she talked about checking in on loved ones. This time of year is a very challenging time, and people that deal with depression and some who don't find themselves in a very low place. So be conscious of that. Knock on your neighbor's door. Strike up a conversation. You never know what that will do. For those who pay attention to the media, for some reason this year, we have had a tremendous number of young kids committing suicide. And now I can't imagine how a 9 or 8-year-old could even consider that as something they would do, but we've had a lot of cases, and especially in the last couple of months, of 9 and 10-year-olds committing suicide. So as I said at my last council meeting, that adults, we need to be mindful of the words that come out of our mouth, because that was something I learned early on. That when you don't think your young people are paying attention to you, they really are paying attention to you. And sometimes when we are saying things that are not positive, or we're acting anxious or mean or malicious in front of them, oftentimes they take that on and they wear those problems themselves, and then they try to, in their immature mind, try to solve them. And sometimes, as we're learning, is leading to very tragic circumstances. So again, I don't know, I guess the old saying that our moms used to say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Sometimes it's just better to keep it to yourself. I also want to announce that this Thursday, Assemblywoman Timberlake will be hosting a coat drive here in the city of Orange at Level 10. At Level 10, it's going through a change name, on Center Street, right across from Sandwiches Unlimited, and it is from 5 o'clock to 9. And these are, people not having coats and socks and things like that is very serious. So if there's something that you can stop by, you can, stop by, network, say hello, or just simply drop off a coat and keep it moving. And that's this Thursday from 5 o'clock to 9. And Mr. Hardwick, I don't know if you know, but our IT person, Kim Fisher, he lost his uncle, Craig Fisher. The Fisher family is a family that's grew here at East Orange and Orange, so we want to send our love out to the Fisher family. Craig was well-known. I know he's a good friend of my brother's, but again, the Fisher family, and there's 2 Fisher families, they grew up here, and I just want to send my condolences on behalf of the City Council and the employees of the City of Orange. I just want to, sometimes, again, just listening when we say, Mr. Henry, when you came up, and I don't know if Derek is still here, I think he left, and how he categorized the crossing guards as somebody, perhaps, I don't know, I know, and I can actually, for this council, because I listen to every one of us when we talk at different times, we care about all of our employees. There's no respected person. We don't think of one less than the other. So all of our employees are valued, and the city cannot move forward with everybody not doing their respective jobs. So again, enough's been said about process and procedure, but I just want to put out there, no employee is greater than the other. We honor them all. And also for the business, and for the business district here in the city of Orange, we did, myself and council members came through with the BA. We did a meeting last year about this time. We did it at Sandwiches Unlimited, and we're going to do it again. And this is an opportunity to hear from the business district their suggestions, their concerns, and to hear from them firsthand how we're doing as their government, as their governing body. And that meeting will be held at Sandwiches Unlimited on December 28th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And again, that's a business district meeting with the BA, and to hear them directly and have a one-on-one conversation, if you will, with the business administrator. And finally, happy holidays, wishing everybody and their family a joyous holiday and some time to just reflect and be thankful. And however you choose to celebrate with your family, wishing you a wonderful holiday and look forward to seeing you in 2019 and asking everybody that they please try to come out to some of the events that we're giving. They're really good. The police and fire, they do a tremendous job when it comes back to giving to the community, so try to come out. And again, as I stated, when the director was up here, if somebody knows of somebody that can't get to one of these events, please, by all means, call the clerk's office, the police and fire, and let us know, and we will make every effort, and we will make it happen, as a matter of fact, to get to them in the absence that they can't get to us. Thank you, Council President.
You're quite welcome, Council.
Oh, I'm sorry. Last but not least, but I'm going to leave it right here because I know Councilman Johnson has a big speech. Got to see the high school play. Our students do a great job. We as a community, and I'm born and raised in Orange, and I can remember there were times when we did school productions that you could not get into a play. So I'm hoping that we can continue to support them and bring our numbers up, but the play was tremendous. It was funny. It has you on edge, and they just did a tremendous job. And the teachers that are there that have a commitment and have some goals, we look forward to supporting them and to make sure that some of the things they have coming up in the future that they are very successful. But kudos to the students. You did a great job, and thank you very much, Council President.
You're quite welcome. Councilwoman Eason.
Yeah, first, just let me wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy and safe New Year. And as it was said, that everybody leave all of the old baggage in the old year, and we start the new year fresh on a positive note. And Councilwoman Williams, was that Craig Fisher, the old commissioner for the baseball?
Yes, ma'am.
That moved to Delaware?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Also, I plan to attend the business meeting because I would like to know also why we have businesses that's leaving. Because if you look on Main Street, we have a lot of vacant stores right now. And also just a comment on the crossing guards. I guess I want to say, in the police department, we do have a person that handles all of the needs, concerns of the crossing guards. So if they had some concerns, I'm hoping in the future they will go to that person and talk to him about, and is it still Polito?
Yeah.
Polito, he's a former police officer, but he's still doing the crossing guards. Instead of putting it on Facebook, go to the source and find out what the reason is that you don't have what you need. And then you should let our business administrator know if it's not working out. Because that's the only way, if you don't tell us, we don't know. And if you don't ask, you can't get. So I see them a lot of times, and I've never heard them complaining, but if that's true and they need things, that they need to go to the source and make sure that happens before they say something negative on Facebook. With that said, I think that's all I have. And one of the things with the play, I had intended, but it was just bad timing. And next year, I will suggest to that department that they not do it the week just before Christmas, because there's so much going on. My weekend last weekend was full, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if they want attendance, we got to think of a better time to have those type of programs to make sure. Christmas is bad, so quite natural the attendance was going to be low. But had they did it after Christmas or a month before, they probably would have had a lot more participation. So that's going to be one of my suggestions to the school district, that we pick a time of the year where everybody can attend. Christmas is just too busy. But anyway, and the mayor did an excellent job with the employee party on Friday night. Some people here partied till their heart was out, but anyway, they had a good time. But we all had a good time. We enjoyed it. I think it was the best one he had had in years.
Oh, that was you doing
because it was
slide?
everybody coming together in unity. Everybody was having fun. There was no negativity and a lot of support. And I want to thank him for that, for bringing the employees in. And he had a great announcement that made everybody happy. So, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Councilman Jackson.
Thank you, Council President Coley. I'd like to reiterate the success of the employee party. It was very nice. And also all the other comments, giving accolades to public servants in Orange who are doing more than just a job for the rest of us. I wanted to also just talk about some of the things that I do as a council person. I'm on the Policy and Procedures Committee, and we have not been active. So I wanted to speak to the other council members who are members of that committee, and maybe we can get together. Well, we have to get together. Let's do that next month. We have to get our membership up. The way that the membership, for those citizens who are in the room and watching on television, the way that membership works, there are 3 council members that are members of the Policy and Procedures Committee, and there are 4 citizen members that can participate. They are appointed by those council members who are not members of the committee. So if you're interested, please make contact with the council people, and we'll see if you can get on. If you contact me, I can share your name and number if you'd like to get involved in that or any other public, anything else that the council might be able to learn or utilize your voluntary services. My email address is cjackson, that's CJACKSON, @ci.orange.nj.us. Isn't it?
It's been updated.
It's been updated?
Yeah, that was part of my comments.
So I was trying to send them someplace else?
Well, you can still use it.
Okay.
For another, you can still use it for a while.
All right. So can you give me the correct one so that I'll be able to share that?
C. Jackson
Yes.
@orangenj.gov.
Oh, that's nice. I like that one. C Jackson @orange.nj.gov.
You had an extra dot.
Yes, that sounds good.
You had an extra
An
dot.
extra dot?
Yeah.
Where's the dot?
No, you put an extra
I
dot.
put an extra dot where?
Yeah, so we'd have to ask them to say it again.
C. Jackson @orangenj.gov.
Oh, I put one in after orange.
Correct.
Okay. Forgive me. I hope that you saw heard the correct address. C Jackson @orangenj.gov. And I'd like to hear from citizens who have something to say. Sometimes it's good to write so that you can compose your thoughts and edit as necessary so that you can really say what you want to say. So please reach out to me. Also, for any citizens who have a landlord that they like that is doing a good job for them, I need to appoint a landlord to the rent leveling board. And if you would like to recommend someone, or if you're a landlord listening who'd like to get involved, please make contact as well. We'd like to have you be a part of our local government in that capacity. As I speak about local government participation, I think it's an obligation for, as Councilwoman Easton said, that if you have an issue, that you bring it to our attention. While we have our ears open and eyes open, we don't know all that's going on, and we would like to know how we might be able to help. And it can be very personal, and if you bring it to us, then we'll have an opportunity to show what kind of service we can provide. So please reach out to us. Other than that, I'm kind of disappointed how quickly 2018 went so fast. We did a lot of good work in 2018. 2019 is going to be exciting as well. I'd like to thank the members of this body for the unity and the courage we've shared this year to try to make some of the steps in coalition with the administration, and it's going to be a nice 2018 as we become more timely, more efficient, more effective. And as I've said many times, it continues to be an honor to serve with you in this body. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I'll be short-winded as much as possible. Just want to wish everybody a happy holiday. This is our last meeting in the year.
Yes.
So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'll see everybody around the 1st of January, but be safe out there.
Unless an emergency comes up.
Oh, no snow. We're not going to have a white Christmas, so that's
And we're
I'm
not gonna
claiming
have
it.
any emergencies.
That's good.
I'm claiming it.
Keep the salt up.
As Councilwoman Williams alluded to, that I did really briefly want to speak on this play that I attended at the middle school. Was done by the drama guild at Orange High School. The name of the play was The Musical Comedy Murders of 1940. And I was absolutely floored by the talent of that drama guild. It was like top notch. Had you on the edge of the seat. The whole skit with the comedy and the different murder scenes. I thank the Orange Middle School or the high school for sending some tickets out to us, and I actually saw it in my packet, and I made a point to get to the Saturday 7 o'clock show. Me and the wife went, and I was absolutely floored by the troupe that. They was flawless. You would thought there was some professionals out there, and these are some teenagers ranging from freshmen to seniors. And with the whole lighting effect and the props, I mean, they were top notch. So we have to stay vigilant, folks, when we have an opportunity to see our youngsters out there doing their best. To see them after the program, to come out and get their kudos and get their flowers, and I had a couple of them sign my my playbill, and they was like, really? I had my own pen, and this played into the whole hype of it. I was really ecstatic and excited. And I'm not a cultural guy. I mean, this put me in front of a football screen, but to see the hard work that they put in for that play was ecstatic. Council President, that's all I need to say this evening. Thank you much.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll be quick. Mr. B, has the snow plan been put into effect? Or are we still working on it?
Well, the snow plan that we had last year continues to improve. It'll improve every year until we get all the resources that we need to plow curb to curb.
Okay. All right. At our last meeting, I made a statement that come January, that I will no longer be responding to questions come January.
Can you say that again louder? Aye. Yeah, just say aye, because people that was the confusing part.
Will not be responding to questions because, again, like I said, the governing body here is not obligated to go into a Q&A during a public meeting. That's why each council members have emails, cell phones. That's why each department head have emails and cell phones. That's why the mayor's office have assistants. You have to get the information, through means, prior to coming to the council meeting to get your questions answered. The meetings is, as it says, public comment, and that's the direction that we're going to be going in. And council members, I think, you was just told Councilman Jackson that we are updating our emails, and make sure that you get a hold of the IT person so he could update your devices that you have. And as we move through this holiday season, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But let's keep an eye on our seniors. For example, we have a lot of folks who prey on seniors through scams. One person tried to prey on a mother, saying that she was a recipient of a $10 million prize, and he needed to come over and collect some monies, and so he can do the paperwork for her to get her payout. And I was patiently waiting for him, hoping he would show up. But he must have had a sixth sense and didn't show up. So let's just keep our seniors in mind when they receive phone calls. Just communicate, because sometimes folks just get a little caught up in the moment. And I'm gonna leave it right there. That's all I have, Madam Clerk.
Council President.
Hold on, one second. Oh, yes, the council meeting,
January.
yeah, in January was moved from Wednesday, January 2nd to Thursday, January 3rd. Again, it was moved from Wednesday, January 2nd to January 3rd. Yes, Councilwoman Williams.
Okay, I just want to be clear, because why I apologize for interrupting you. The reason I interrupted you, because you said you went from we until I, but then you went back to we in terms of your response to questions. And I just want to get clarity, because we did not have a discussion as a body.
Because there's nothing to discuss.
Let me finish my statement. So, and question. So I think what I hear you saying, come 2019, that citizens are going to come to this podium and they're going to ask questions. And then we'll close citizens' comments, and at that point, you're not going to give a response.
Correct.
Now, as chair, you can do that, but that does not stop any council member who is sitting here during their council comments to respond. So, because I just wanted to, you're making a decision to sitting in chair, how you're going to move in the position of chair, and that's fine. But I don't want, and what has happened is that people, and it was written in the transcript, that the council will not be responding to citizens' questions. And people have questioned me, and I respect your decision to do what it is, how you choose to. But because we did not discuss that, there's no decision being made for me, nor I don't believe there's a collective decision being made for this governing body. So I just want to clarify that you state for the record that you, in your position as chair, will conduct the meetings while you're sitting in that position as chair in that format. And what other council members do in their time with questions is up to the council members.
Yes, and being that you want to get so technical, I'm going to start holding council members' comments to 5 minutes as well.
Okay, I'm not being technical. What I am doing is clarifying, because you made a statement about what you're going to do and start during 2019.
Yes,
now,
I did.
I don't know if you had conversations with other council members, but I know for a fact that you did not have a conversation with me. And again,
Council President,
just
one second. This came up in the last council meeting. Councilwoman Easton said, don't we have to vote on it? And you screamed no. So I don't know what.
Who screamed no?
You screamed no.
No, I didn't.
No.
No, I did not.
I did.
No.
No, you screamed no.
No, I did not.
Right here. Well,
No.
let me just say this, that if council is gonna be answering questions, then that's gonna have to be time too, because.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson, no, what we're gonna, no, Councilwoman Summers Johnson, you interrupted me, and that's not, no, okay.
I think it was in the paper because it was written. and-
No, Councilwoman Summers Johnson, I don't care what you think. The fact is that people came to me and asked me a question. And so I'm clarifying this, that this governing body has not made a decision
Well, can
to,
we vote on that now?
council.
It's nothing to
Councilwoman,
vote
what I
on.
need you to do is let me finish, and then you can talk after I finish.
Because this gonna go, we're not gonna be here all night about this, we can vote on this at another time.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson, Councilwoman Summers Johnson. But no, because what you're doing is you're prolonging it, because I'm going to say what I have to say, but irregardless, you're being rude right now.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson, Councilman
Okay.
Williams. Yes.
And do that if that's what you need to do.
Councilman Williams, continue
So
with your
I just
comment.
need you, again, what I need you to do, so Council President, and again, I respect for your, if that's what you choose to do. And in terms of us moving collectively, I just want to, I just want to clarify that that is not how I will, if I have an answer to a question for a citizen, I will respond. And
During your comments.
and it could be, there are,
During your comments.
or if we're in another area, whether we're on the ordinance, whether we're on a resolution, there are various times we can be talking. But what I'm clearly saying to the citizens of Orange, that if at the time a question comes up and I have the answer to it, I will do whatever I can to get that answer to you. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. And again, like I said, you will be answering those questions during your,
Council President, I don't want you, because see, you're sitting there, you're making decisions without talking to this governing body, and that's not how this works. You're a chair of this body that we put to represent us in that position. You do not come down and dictate to us how we're going to do things. So
I'm
yes,
not
if a question comes up,
anything to you.
during the
I am
ordinance
just
or
following the
resolution,
law.
I will answer the question at that time. So you're not going to tell me when and I can and when I can't, and especially when you did not talk to us. Now, I didn't want this to go this way, and I understood what you said last week, and I'm fine with that if you choose not to do that. But I don't want you to speak for us when you did not speak to us, and that's all I'm saying.
Council President,
Councilman Easton.
before I address that, I just wanted to say, when you talked about the seniors, that we should caution them also as they travel back and forth to stores and doing their shopping, that they should be very aware of their pocketbooks. Make sure they're closed. They're not. I saw one walking up the street swinging her bag, and I was so upset because you can't do that in this day and environment.
Yep.
They need to make sure they carry small purses that they can put under their coat, be aware of their surroundings, and make sure they don't let anybody get close to them. Because some lady just got her money taken out of her pocketbook last week. So we want the seniors be very careful. When you can, make sure you take transportation, or call a friend to go with you to the store. And then I would like to respectfully address what you stated about that. I don't have a problem with that. And I think in the long run, we're moving in the right direction. And I know you're sitting there, you're making decisions, and you have a right to do that. But prior council presidents did the same thing and never asked us, made their own decisions, did what they wanted to do, and never consulted the council. So I don't know why they're so upset now that you're trying to run this meeting the way you think it would be more beneficial to us. Because I'm available. They can ring my doorbell. I'll come downstairs, they can call me on my phone, and I do that a lot of the times. So as the sitting president, I think you have the right to make some decisions. I don't agree with everything you say, but I will support your decision.
If I may.
Councilman Jackson.
15 cents worth. I agree with that as well. I understand you have certain authority here, and you didn't say that we're not going to answer your questions ever and ignore what you tell us. You said during the meetings, we're not going to have question and answering sessions, and I think that's appropriate. We have to respect people's time here, and we can be just as efficient and effective at answering questions if the questions are submitted before or after the meeting. It may be after the meeting, after everyone gets a chance to review our agenda and hear our comments. You still have an opportunity to ask questions of any of us in this room or in anyone in city government, including the directors or anything else. So it's not as if you don't get an opportunity to get your questions answered. We're just not going to do it during our council meeting, and we don't have an obligation to do that. If you'd like to check the law, I'm sure you can get the appropriate citations to the law so that you can learn exactly what our authority is and the council president's authority is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson. Madam Clerk.
And Council President, just another question. The email, so if people are still sending it to the CI, they will still go there?
You know,
They have tied the old address to the new address, along with a couple of other domains that we purchased, just in case people get them wrong.
Right.
We're still working out some bugs, but this is a very good step for the city. We have migrated our email from a third-party host to our own Microsoft Exchange server, which makes our email far more secure and a lot faster. So for the first time that I've been here, since I've been here in whatever, 29 months, now my calendars on my phone and my desktop and everything else all speak the same language and are coordinated. I know that that's 1980s, 1990s technology, but it's a wonderful step for efficiency.
And is there a time restraint, or you bought all the domains, so as long as...
And we have to pay, you have to pay a fee every year for each of the domains, but the fees are minimal.
No, I'm saying as long as we have the domains, if they're sending it to the old, it'll go there with no
Correct.
problem. Okay.
Eventually, we would hope that people would actually change it to the right address, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It gets forwarded anyway.
And is there a response that goes back and says, please note our email is updated to reflect the new email?
No, it just goes through.
Okay.
What'll happen is you'll get a response that has a different email address on it, so we hope that you would use that.
Okay.
The other thing that we did, and I just want to make this clear, is we have adopted a protocol for the email address. So no longer will people get to pick how their email, their name is done in our system. Everyone will follow the convention, or they won't be in the system. And the reason for that is that for security purposes, we need the convention to be uniform.
Do you mean like first initial, last name?
Correct.
Unless there's two people?
Right.
Okay.
And Council President, when was the cutoff? Because I see I haven't gotten any mail since December the 15th.
That's only because you haven't updated your cell phone. But
So-
if you come in, if you bring your cell phone in, we can take care of that for you along with your tablet or laptop.
At what time is he here?
He's here every day, but I do know that he's out on bereavement for some hours this week, so.
So next week could be good?
Actually, I'm gonna text him, and what I'd like to do is set up one time where we can do most of the council people to get you all on board.
Make it after Christmas.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Ordinances, second reading, public hearing. 58-2018, bond ordinance providing for the 2018 road paving project through New Jersey Transportation Infrastructure Bank by and in the city of Orange Township in the county of Essex, state of New Jersey, appropriating $10 million therefore and authorizing the issuance of 10 million bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof. Are there any citizens who wish to speak?
My name is Jeffrey Feld. You have my address, you have my training, and that I'm an attorney. I'm here pursuant to my constitutional right to petition the government and under Title 40 of the New Jersey Code, where it says that on second reading, citizens have the right to ask pertinent questions. Regarding this ordinance, first question is, why doesn't it not have any signature approving the form, sufficiency, and legality of it? And it's not just on this one, on the materials that were submitted that each of you received to the local finance board, it was not on there. Also, my next question is regarding the supplemental debt statement. Because one of the things I'm trying to do is get a feel of how much debt the municipality has. And when I try to tie it into the OS on page A15 issued by the Board of Education, where it says city indebtedness of December 31st, 2017, I understand the school debt has been removed because that's now the obligation of the school debt. Well, how come there's no line items for the water utilities? Because that's typically in there, and it's been in the columns for the city indebtedness.
Because it's not a full faith and credit pledge. Water and sewer utility are basically revenue bonds under a separate set of revenues, which are generated by the water and sewer utility.
Well, but the question is, why in prior years was that listed on our supplemental debt statement? Because 2 years ago was a big issue when the water utility was not self-liquidating, and we had to add it in.
Yeah, when it's not self-liquidating, then it becomes a full faith and credit obligation of the city, but when the utility becomes self-liquidating again, it gets backed out.
That's the reason.
Right.
Thank you. But the other issue is, and this is a question about supplemental debt statement, on there, it has amount increased since the past year. It's like $2.857, which seems to be the net amount that was for the YWCA acquisition notes, but that's included in showing an increase in our indebtedness. Is that not, I'm trying to figure out, like, that indebtedness, we didn't have to go to local finance board, but it's in the supplemental debt statement. Now you're saying that the water utilities, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but when you have an OS, the OS lists it as total indebtedness there. It says general purpose debt, and the general purpose debt is there. Then you have self-liquidating debt, and you're just saying the self-liquidating debt is not included, but it's included in the OS. I'm just confused.
But it's not ROS that you're looking at, right?
Well, I'm
It's
looking at the
Board of Ed.
OS that
It's
says the
it's the Board
indebtedness of the city,
You said it was the Board of Eds, right?
the Board of Eds, but it's based on information.
Well,
But
it's definitely not information that they got from my office or from the finance office.
it says here, it says the annual debt statement of the city as the source of the document.
I
I
can't.
can't tell you, I'm just reading the document. It says the annual source, it has a page, it's A15, I'll make copies, I'll get it to you. But they said, what's the source? They say the annual debt statement of the city.
Right, my suggestion would be that if you're going to look at the annual debt or the aggregate debt of the city, look at the city's OS, the link for which I put on the website.
But that's as of 2017. No, it's 2016.
2017.
17, but it's
Because that's when we did the
2016.
bond sale in December of 2017.
Well, is there a new OS because of the bond anticipation notes that we issued? Will there be a new one for these $10 million bonds?
No.
Thank you.
Any other citizens?
Motion to close citizens' comments.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. On the motion?
On
On the motion.
On the motion. Somebody over there.
Councilwoman Williams?
Thank you, Council President. Ms. Lanier, when I was doing the Finance Committee, I think you picked up the report that I asked to be attached, the amended report. Is that what you had in your hand?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So regarding...
Is this the road paving project?
Yes.
I have the report that Marty gave me, yes.
Okay. Can you send somebody, I need a copy of that.
Okay.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
6 yeas, motion passed. 59-2018, bond ordinance of the City of Orange Township in the County of Essex, New Jersey, providing aid to a redevelopment project located at 374-76 and 377 Crane Street in the City of Orange Township, and appropriating $250,000 therefore, and providing for the issuance of $250,000 in bonds or notes of the City of Orange Township to finance the cost thereof. Any citizens wish to talk, speak?
Motion, oh, sorry.
Good evening, Catherine Gordon.
Good evening.
If I understand this correctly, this this bond ordinance is going to finance improvements of the construction piece of the project, such as curb replacement, resurfacing, sidewalks, street lighting, and such. We just, there was just talk about another project today, that of Rioch Street that has not been finalized at the previous time, but it is not. It might be coming back, and that project, on the other hand, included on its own the paving. We just talked about it. The paving on the road. I understand that under that road, there is some sinkhole issue, and my point that that gives me pause is, as I perceive it, the difference and some kind of a lack of standard what different projects require in terms of construction of the bees, and that gives me pause, and maybe it does give pause to other people too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon.
Motion to close citizen comments.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr., second by Councilman Jackson. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
6 yeas. Introduction and first reading, 62-2018. Ordinance to amend ordinance number 12-2010, Chapter 98, Food Handling Establishments, adopted August 4th, 2010, and amended ordinance number 21-2012, adopted September 4th, 2012. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Jackson. On the motion?
On the motion.
Council
Williams.
Council President, to you through our city attorney. Mr. Montellis, when we were speaking of this earlier, I specifically asked, does your summary page note exactly what is being changed? It's not, and it does not. And that's what I asked, because all the fees are not being changed, just specific fees that are being changed. And that was my question, so I just wanted to clarify that. And can you pass me a report, please, because I need to see it. So did you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Martellus?
I do. I don't
Okay,
have
because we were at the meeting and we spoke of it, and just looking at it, it's not all the fees being changed. If we could just highlight. Okay, thank you.
Well, excuse me, do you mind? Actually, the way an ordinance is supposed to be written, when you amend it, you underline the additions and strike out deletions. So
I
that,
understand that, but there's also a process where you can do a summary page, which I am speaking of, that the city attorney agreed to, that we can summarize it, and that's what I'm speaking of, that you can just look at it in a summary.
But they did the strikeout.
so in there?
You did the strikeouts, right? Which is the
All
same
right.
thing. It's the same thing.
Thank you, Mr. Martellus.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
6 yeas. 63-2018, capital ordinance appropriating $400,000 from the capital surplus fund to pay for various capital improvements and acquisitions of equipment for various departments in and by the city of Orange Township in the county of Essex, state of New Jersey. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr., second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
6 yeas. The final reading will be on Tuesday, January 15th, 2019. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. 351, 2018 was withdrawn. 363 was withdrawn. 367 was amended. Mr. Matt, the transfer appropriations, do they need to be voted on separate?
Adrian Mapp, Director of Finance, you need to vote on the resolution.
Separately, outside of the
No.
consent one?
You need to vote on the resolution only.
So you can do it as a consent?
You can do it in the consent agenda.
Well, if you choose to do it in the consent agenda, you certainly can.
Okay.
But the resolution can be voted on whether you choose to make it consent or whether you take
I'm
it
going to
in its
remove
regular
it from
sequence.
there.
Mr. Mayor, I think her question is, and we
You need a
usually do
separate
those
vote.
separate because they need 5 votes. Is
Yes,
that-
you need 5 votes, but
Okay,
the
we'll
consent
remove it.
agenda is
Okay.
a unanimous vote.
But I'm saying, so she needs to pull it out just to make
I'm just
sure
gonna pull it out.
you have 5 votes, exactly. That's what we
Okay.
normally do.
It's up to you.
That's
I'll pull
what we
it out.
normally do. Look up over there.
While you standing there, the bill list, are those 2 items that was discussed being removed from page 2?
The item that was removed or corrected is the item for $1,360.
Right.
That item has been corrected. It has nothing to do with the individual against whom it first appeared.
Did you understand that?
We made a mistake.
So it's, no, I just want to know if it's coming off the grand total of the bill list.
No, the 1360 is actually a charge that needs to be paid to a vendor as opposed to a reimbursement to the individual. So
1360
stays.
is paid to Sysnet Solutions.
So it just need
Not
to be
paid to the
amended to
employee.
reflect that.
Correct.
Yes.
And the
I think
second
it's
one,
Cisnet is there, right? I think both names are there. Cisnet and Kim Fisher, right?
it says reimbursement, so we're going to make the amendment for the record that it's not a reimbursement, but being paid directly to Sysnet? Is that what the recommendation is?
There are 3 items that appeared on the bill list that you first received. One was for, I believe, $184.84 on the page prior. Then there were 2 items on the subsequent page, $355 and change, and $1,360, against the name of Kim Fisher. The 1360 pertains solely to Sysnet Solutions and is not a reimbursement to Kim Fisher. And it's being paid to Sysnet Solution.
And all we need to do on the bill list is cross out the name Kim Fisher
Right.
and add the name Sysnet Solutions.
It's there. It says reimbursement Cisnet. It just has Kim Fisher there as well. So
So
it's,
please amend the bill list to reflect the fact that the $1,360 is being paid to Sysnet Solutions.
it says reimbursement Cisnet, work Orange
It's not a
Friday.
reimbursement. Take out the word reimbursement, take out the name Kim
Kim
Fisher,
Fisher?
02, Junior, and Kim. And leave, substitute for the name, Sysnet Solutions. And then it should say Sysnet Work, OFD, OPD.
Okay.
Is it the same for the one below it as well?
That's actually a reimbursement, correct?
No. The one below it is a $335.88 charge submitted by Host Monster on a Friday night at 11 p.m.
No, submitted by Kim Fisher.
And I authorized him to pay it with his credit card.
Submitted by
And I
Kim
will
Fisher.
reimburse him. Yes,
To what, Host Monster?
correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Council President,
Councilwoman Williams?
are we leaving on the one that was asked to put on, I'm looking for the number while I talk, on the first meeting, 354, no, is it 354? Yeah. Are we leaving 354, 2018 on? Or
Yes.
are we gonna do it in January?
No, staying on.
All right. So, to Mr. Hartwick, or Mr. Mapp, whoever chooses, how is that going to, from a bookkeeping standpoint, what your concern was?
I'll probably bring a separate resolution on the January 4th that, along with the temporary budget.
Okay, it's a kind of, I'm trying to think of the word. So you're going to, so it's going to be a 2018 resolution for a 2019 bill.
Right.
Okay. And the resolution in January will just kind of memorialize what was done? Okay. That was it.
Any other items? So for the record, 344 was postponed from the last meeting. It is now considered to be part of the consent agenda. Are there any other items?
One second, Madam Clerk.
Yeah. 344 can't be on the consent agenda.
Okay. I'm going to pull 344 off the consent agenda, and we'll vote on it separately.
And you probably need to go into closed session before you vote on it.
I thought we weren't doing it tonight.
It has to be done tonight. We postponed it from the last meeting because I wasn't here. It's got to be done tonight.
But we had the closed session, so the memo is not
Right. I
sufficient.
mean, if you want to just vote on it, that's fine.
But if there's going to be any discussion, that has to be closed session.
Right.
Right, but I'm saying, but the memo
The
kind
memo
of should answer.
Yes,
yeah.
the memo answers your question, Councilman.
Okay, the consent agenda consists of 347, 348, 349, 350, 352, 353, 354, 355, 356, 357, 358, 359, 360, 361, 362, 364, 365, 366, and 368. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
What about
What happened to
367?
367?
367 was amended to add the names
The
that you...
resolution itself wasn't amended. We were just pointing out that on the agenda, it didn't have the other name. The resolution has always had the other name.
Well, does it have to be amended because that's what the public sees?
No,
Or,
because the resolution itself is the actual document. This doesn't count, right?
all right, so 367 is not, is on the consent agenda. Are we clear on what's on the consent agenda? Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. On the motion,
On the motion.
seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
344-2018, a resolution authorizing the settlement in the matter of Joseph Giuliano versus the City of Orange Township. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr., second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. On the motion,
On the motion.
seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton.
Yes.
Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.
Yes.
You're in the middle of a vote, right?
Madam Clerk, can we
You gotta
back
make a
up.
motion, we're in the middle of a vote.
The only motion that would take precedent at any time is a motion to table, even in the middle of a vote.
Right. Motion to table.
Second.
Motion to table by Councilman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. On the motion,
On the motion.
seeing no
motion
roll
to
call.
table.
Councilwoman Eason,
No.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent, Council President Coley.
Yes.
The item is tabled.
We'll go to the rest of your agenda, and we'll come back to that.
369-2018, a resolution for transfer appropriations. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr., second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson on the motion.
On the motion?
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent, Council President Coley.
Yes.
370-2018, a resolution approving the bill list for council meeting vote on December 18, 2018, dated December 14, 2018, and approving checks issued by the Finance Department in accordance with 2-95, grand total $5,359,559.87. And this resolution is being adopted as amended on page 2, as was stated before. PO 18-02398 for the, no. PO-18-2398 for the amount of $1360 is being paid to Sysnet. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move as amended.
Moved as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Eason on the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman
Are
Eason.
we on the bill list?
We're on the bill list.
Bill
I'm
list.
sorry, I do have on the motion. I apologize. You ready? Mr. Matt? On page 7 and 8. There is a bill for Let's Think Wireless. At the bottom of page 7, and top of page 8. Who is that?
What's the name of it?
Let's Think Wireless.
I will ask the Orange Police Department to explain who that is.
And he left. Captain Dunn, Mr. Hartwick.
Let's think wireless.
At the bottom of page 7, beginning of page 8.
This, I think I know what it is, but if you want an answer, let's just remove it from the bill list, and I'll deal with it.
The first of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather pay it. I'll just reserve the money for the bills. I'm pretty sure it's related to the wireless radios, but I need to check that.
And would
I
we-
know it's one of the maintenance contracts. It's also a state contract vendor.
And would we have, would a contract had to have come before this council regarding?
Not if it's a state contract vendor.
All right, so,
And if it's a maintenance portion of an old contract, it also wouldn't necessarily have come before you. But, and this isn't the first time this year this has been on. So I just need to check and see what it is.
Okay, so since we don't have an answer, I'm recommending that we remove this amount of $28,258.72 on page 10 as well. For Samuel Transportation.
Yep. Their contract expired, but before we were ready to take over the service, they performed 3 additional months of work, and I deemed that they should be paid.
So when did their contract expire?
Technically in March,
Of 2018?
Right.
And 3 more months would have taken us to June.
correct.
And so these are dated October to December, so it's just...
Actually, I did an extension resolution for the first 3 months.
Okay,
I didn't do one for the last 3.
okay. So, and perhaps there will be more?
No, this is it.
This is it, okay. Okay.
It's
and-
year-end cleanup.
Okay, got you. And I think, did I see did I see something on here for Pulse?
Probably.
And, because that contract is expired as well.
That contract is expired or expires at the end of the year, and we're out to bid.
So the contract expired on June 30th,
We extended it in June for an additional 6 months,
extended it, but it didn't come back before this council.
because the original resolution provided for additional extension because they actually submitted for 1 year, and we started with a 90-day test period, or
And s-
pilot.
Okay, so it is basically, so you're thinking that the resolution states that you may extend without going back before?
Pretty sure that we awarded the contract for a year, but we also gave ourselves an out after 3 months.
Okay, but the extension part, you didn't have to come back
Correct.
before? Okay. All right, so we're going to remove the 28,000.
Tell me the total amount.
$28,258.72.
On page 10?
7 and 8. No, mine's allergy.
Cough, cold.
So we're on the motion. The resolution was amended to remove $28,258.78, 72 cents, leaving the new total with $5,331,301.15. Is there a motion to adopt as amended? It was already moved on the motion. You was on the motion, so.
Right. But we're doing a
I'm just
motion.
talking to myself now.
Yeah, so it's a motion to amend on the motion.
It's a motion to amend on the motion. Anybody want to make that motion?
Move.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Jackson. On that motion, seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes?
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
We're going to come back to 344 again, or
You have to go into executive
are
session.
we just going to go into 371?
Why don't you do 344?
But we're gonna have to go into...
We don't need to go into executive session, I don't think. You would need a motion to lift it from the table.
Motion to lift from the table?
Second.
Motion to lift from the table by Jackson, second by Johnson Jr. On the motion,
On the motion.
seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
No.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Cole?
Yes.
So it's moved, it's lifted from the table. Resolution 344-2018, a resolution authorizing the settlement in the matter of Joseph Giuliano versus the City of Orange Township. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr., second by Councilman Jackson. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
No.
Councilman Jackson?
No.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
No.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
No.
Councilwoman Williams?
No.
Councilwoman Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
No.
Resolution did not pass. New business, walk-on resolution. Resolution 371-2018, WO is being considered for a walk-on item. The title reads, "A resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange Township and the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, authorizing an emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-46 and 40A:4-48 to pay for Comcast services, underfunded general liability insurance, and various emergency repairs to the city wells and water system as a result of a severe winter storm in the aggregated amount of $352,801.74. Are there any citizens who wish to speak?
Again, my name is Jeffrey Feld. My questions are more informational. Three of the components, two of them I fully understand were occurred this year. The $160,000 is allocated to Comcast. Was that a debt that was incurred this year or in prior years? Because I think there was prior statements made earlier this year that this was from a contract that was entered into before, and it was an obligation that we discovered this year. In addition, when we talk, later on, it talks about the aggregate amount of emergency appropriations this year being like $1.1 million. I assume that includes the $750,000, which was the litigation settlement. The other question will be is, this aggregate amount of, let's say, 1.1, will that be paid off all next year, or will that be amortized over a period of time? If you know the answer to that.
Any other citizens wish to speak?
Mr. B.A. has a statement.
So I'll lead in by answering a couple of those questions so that everybody's clear. In this year's budget, we had to raise $1.8 million based on emergency appropriations. Next year, while Mr. Feld is correct that right now it's 1.1, I anticipate that in January, I'll bring you a resolution that cancels $250,000 in emergency appropriations that you authorized earlier this year, because we found money to cover some of that, and that will take this emergency authorization down below $900,000. So we'll be $900,000, almost $1 million ahead in the 2019 budget in terms of what we have to raise. And so we're clear, whatever the aggregate amount of the emergency appropriation here is, I have not sought authorization from the local finance board to spread that out over multiple years. We'll cover it, whatever the number ends up being, in the 2019 budget. Let's talk about what this is so that everybody's clear as to why the administration is doing this. I informed you of the lost, unfortunately found Comcast bills that go all the way back to 2015 and are over $161,000 in the aggregate. There was no appropriation or provision made for that in the 2018 budget, or the 2017 budget, or the 2016 budget, simply because whoever was here preparing the budgets didn't know about those bills. The envelopes were unopened. So we've dealt with that. The general liability insurance, you all know we're self-insured, so in any given year, we do our best to estimate what we think the liability program's going to cost us this year, probably because we're being very conservative in a very difficult budget year. We underfunded a little bit, and this is how I'd like to make it up. And lastly is the water. The council was very specific that when Mr. Montilus became city attorney, that, they wanted the mayor to make sure that I was supervising the water. This is what we should have done in March. Shame on me for not seeing it then. But for the work that was done here, we need an emergency appropriation because this wasn't in the budget. And most of this work is related, but by most, I mean 99%. There's some engineering costs associated with it and some equipment costs that we probably would have had to incur at some point, but we were forced to deal with it as a result of those storms. And we need to make provision for those appropriations as well to be able to pay those bills. So this is the proper way to do it. We've been paying some of this out of current fund. We need to replenish that, and this is how we're going to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Begay. Madam Clerk?
Your motion to close citizen comments?
Move. Second.
I said a long time ago, I needed a copy.
Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr. Second by Councilman Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 371-2018, WR. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange Township in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, authorizing emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-6, and 40A:4-48 to pay for Comcast service, underfunded general liability insurance, various emergency repairs to the city wells and water systems as a result of severe winter storm in the aggregate amount of $352,801.74. Is there a motion to adopt?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Jackson. On the motion?
On the motion?
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten's absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
Is there any pending business?
Council President,
Councilwoman Williams.
Mr. Hartwick, earlier in the meeting, I forgot to state about the bills that come in the water, and to briefly address that they're not scams when they're asking for the insurance and the purpose.
So several residents, if you're out there listening, may have received solicitations from a company that is related to Suez Water, or Suez Environmental Company, offering to sell insurance on your water pipes. The sole purpose of that insurance is to cover you in the event that there is a pipe failure in the pipe that connects from the street to your home across your property. Those are called laterals. Those laterals are not the responsibility of the city. Those laterals are the responsibility of the property owner, and they can be extremely expensive to repair or replace if there's a failure. It can cost anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000 to replace one of those laterals, depending upon the size of the house, the length of the lead, etc. I can't tell anybody what to do. I can simply tell you that this is something that I actually pay for. It's very inexpensive. I have paid for it on every house that I've ever had. I've had occasion to use it on one occasion in which for my, $112 a year, they replaced an $18,000 pipe. So it's not a scam. The insurance can be offered by companies other than those that are related to Suez, but I would suggest that if you're thinking about using it, the Suez people actually know the system because they are our operator, but I just want everyone to know that it's not a scam. The second thing is that it also does not cover your sewer pipes. It only covers your water pipes. The sewer pipes are owned by a separate entity and serviced by a separate entity. And we're looking at the sewer issues and that entity now, and we'll have some discussion with you in the first quarter of the year about those pipes.
And just generally speaking, these are similar to the cases where people have come in and because they couldn't afford it out of pocket, they did not have the insurance, we had to end up creating a payment plan or something like that.
Yeah, we've had multiple instances since I've been here where a water lateral has failed. The homeowner is not in a position at that particular point in time to pay for the repair. It creates a public health issue because you end up with a house with no water. So in those, and there's no insurance because those people have not signed up for the insurance. And in those situations, we have made arrangements for payment plans and we've sent in our own contractors to do the work. That's not a situation we like to be in. It causes us to have to put a lien on the property to secure the payment plan. And it's a lot better if you have the insurance.
Mm-hmm. And real quickly, Council President, and other pending business, I just want to clarify again that I believe as a council president, and I don't know if you heard me, I believe you do have the right to do that. What I don't believe is that you don't have the right to speak on the other council members, and I just want to clarify that. And I just want to think that if you wanted us all to do that, it would have been a great time to have a discussion. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you,
Council
Councilman.
President. And just a point to piggyback on what the BA was talking about.
Yes, sir.
I just recently got some solicitation from New Jersey manufacturer,
right.
actually offering those to their subscribers. So I bundle with them, and I also have the line, the coverage for Suez, and I'm comparing to see who apples for apples. But if you have New Jersey manufacturers, they're now doing the rider to cover that for people.
And they offer it for both the renter and the homeowner.
Yeah,
And
correct.
New Jersey manufacturers. So for
And
both.
New Jersey manufacturers also offers it for your sewer pipes.
Right, exactly.
There you go. Sweet. Bundle.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Summers Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chris.
Meeting adjourned 10:14 p.m.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Great holiday.
Absolutely.